like to call this meeting to order. Will everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Nelson?
Here.
Colosimo?
Present.
Scott?
Here.
Milczewski? Here. Lenz?
Here.
Funkhauser?
Here.
Spears? Here. Teeling? Here. Quorum is established.
Okay, I do have one amendment to the agenda. I would like to move Public Works Committee report up to after citizen comments. Do you have any other amendments to the agenda?
I have one.
Yes.
I'd like to pull number 7, 10, and 11 for further discussion.
Okay. I will put those under Public Works in its regular spot. Any other amendments to the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we do have one presentation on the agenda tonight. I don't know if any of you have read in the paper, but the city did start what we call a Build Yorkville campaign. It is an incentive program to help residential home builders get things moving here in Yorkville. We did have our first recipient here tonight, Miss Christy Bartlett. So Christy, could you come on up? I would like to submit this certificate of acceptance to you. It says here, this certifies a building permit number 2012-0018 for a new single-family detached residence to be constructed at 378 Bertram Drive within the Bristol Bay subdivision by the Pulte Homes Corporation, where the contract purchaser listed below has been approved for participation in the United City of Yorkville Buyers of Undeveloped Info Lot Discount Incentive Program. Christy, congratulations. Thank you very much. Welcome to Yorkville. Okay, we have no public hearings tonight, so we will move on to citizen comments. I know we have quite a few people here tonight who want to speak. If any of you can speak as you want, try and keep it brief. We don't want to keep hearing the same things over and over again. Let's keep it respectful, keep it moving. I think Lynn, you will kick it off. Please state your name for the record.
Yes. If Bill and Maureen can come up with me.
Can I also ask that anybody that speaks at the podium today also put their name, address, and city that they reside? That way we know who lives here and who doesn't.
And that's your choice, of course. I mean, it was on the sign-in sheet. If you want to do it, that's up to you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lynn Dubacek, and I'm here this evening as a volunteer board member of Push for the Path, a non-for-profit organization that will be created for the purpose of raising the shortfall of $220,000 to $357,000 that is needed to build the 2.7-mile Kennedy Road multi-trail from Route 47 to Mill Road. With me are my other volunteer board members, and I'd like for them to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Maureen Sharp.
Billy McHugh.
John Ammons could not be here with us this evening. He had a prior commitment. We are a group of dedicated and recognized individuals who are embedded in Yorkville. We understand the importance of leveraging the almost $1.4 million grant that has been awarded to the City of Yorkville to make this crucial connection a reality. And we are here tonight to formally ask the City Council to accept this grant, which will allow us to move forward in becoming an official 501c3 not-for-profit organization. In your packet that I emailed to you today, you will find our Articles of Incorporation. We are prepared to submit this document to the Secretary of State tomorrow morning, and we are also prepared to open a bank account so we will then be able to accept donations. We are also prepared to kick off our first campaign called The Power of One immediately. This campaign will raise $100,000 by July the 5th of 2012 and will act as a solid base for our fundraising efforts. In your packet, you will find, for your information about the Power of One and a pledge form. The next item in your packet is an email from John McHugh. John could not make it tonight, correct? He is here. John, do you want to raise your hand?
Yes, I'm back here.
Okay, thank you. I know you were picking someone up at the airport. John has been responsible for the annual golf outing held in Dan and Darlene McHugh's honor for the past 7 years. In this email, John states that the golf outing has raised over $200,000 during that 7-year period that it has been held. And he has also stated that going forward, he has pledged to donate all of the funds to Push for the Path. We've also confirmed the date of our golf outing for this year. It will be held on Saturday, August the 11th, at Blackberry Oaks Golf Course on Kennedy Road. The next document in your packet is a spreadsheet demonstrating exactly how we will be able to raise the required funds. As you can see, we are focusing on raising over $350,000 and have really tried to keep our expectations realistic. Local business owner and resident Mark O'Malley could not be with us this evening. He's out of town. He asked me to provide you with a copy of the rendering of the ornamental commemorative archway that he has also pledged to build as a dedication to Darlene McHugh, along with a copy of his email. And then you'll also find 2 editorials from our local newspaper, the Kendall County Record, in support of Push for the Path. We have collected over 60 emails in support of Push for the Path since just last Thursday. I know many of the people are here tonight who are in support of the project. Just today, I received a number of emails from individuals from NICOR who work with Darlene. So I'd like to ask all of you who are here tonight to raise their sign of support for the trail so that all of you know who we are. Thank you very much. Yorkville has been a community that has been abundant and extraordinary committed volunteers. The outpouring of support and willingness to become involved that we have experienced in the short time that we have been together as a group on Push for the Path is remarkable. I am honored to stand with this group. I know that working together as a public-private partnership, we will truly accomplish great things for our community. We are fortunate to have residents and business owners who are knowledgeable, creative, and connected to a vast multitude of resources. This is an exciting new chapter in Yorkville's history, and I can't wait to get started. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Aldermen.
Please state your name for the record.
Rachel Englehart. Good evening, friends and neighbors. My name is Rachel Englehart, and I'm a mom of 3 young kids and a citizen of Yorkville. I'm so excited to be here tonight with my 6-year-old son, Caden, who has been following the Yorkville Push for the Path effort closely, and he asked to join me here tonight. I feel something really powerful in this room tonight, and that's the love that we all have for our city. We are all of us united here in our desire to make Yorkville the best possible place it can be, the best in every sense. Safety, health, fun, fitness, recreation, economically. I came here tonight to talk to you about my vision of how to fund this Yorkville bike path. Of course, when I say Yorkville bike path, I'm talking specifically about the Kennedy Road section of path. But without that Kennedy Road section of path that's going to connect the existing smaller pieces of path that we have in our city, without that, we're going to have some pieces of Yorkville bike path in Yorkville. With the Kennedy Road section of path, we are going to have a Yorkville bike path. That is a connected, safe trail of somewhere between 11 and 15 miles of path in our city, uniting our city. I know that we all already agree that this path is desperately needed by our city and will be well used and well loved once it is built. We all agree that the state's offer to fund 80% of the cost is an amazing opportunity not to be missed. What we need to figure out is how to come up with our city's small portion of the cost. Alderman, I'll admit to originally feeling quite frustrated when you refused to consider city money to fund this project, which will provide so much to our city. However, after really thinking about this, I've come to actually appreciate the challenge that you've given us, the citizens of Yorkville and the citizens of our neighboring cities, who also want this path as much as we do. You've given us the opportunity to band together to raise the money. Just like this path, once it is built, will provide us with a place to come together and enjoy our city, our fundraising plans will do the same. And how cool will it be when we can say, hey, we did this. We built this path, a path truly for the people and by the people. Do you know how motivated we are going to all be to get out there and really love and use and enjoy this path? Do you know how motivated we will be to keep it protected because we built it? I am certain that there are thousands of people in our community and neighboring communities who want to contribute financially to this path. There are people like me who have been sitting at home all along reading the paper thinking, okay, so you want us to privately raise the money for this path. Just tell me how to do it. Tell me who to write a check to and where to send it. I'm here tonight to tell you how we are going to reach out to all those people who want to contribute and how we will raise a substantial portion of the city's construction costs for the path. Lynn Dubicek has already told you about concrete plans for how a well-established community golf outing will, over the next 6 years, raise a considerable portion of the bike path's cost, around $100,000 or more, which is a third to a half of the overall cost. I'm here to talk about another crucial aspect of the fundraising, a grassroots, citizen-led, citizen-provided effort of, a citizen-provided donation campaign that will take place this spring and early summer and is anticipated to raise approximately $100,000 for this path, or another 1/3 to half of the cost. Okay, so how are we going to get our citizens to raise $100,000 in just the spring or summer? I know you want to know specifics, so here is what I propose. A core group of 100 passionate, connected citizens will form small teams of themselves plus 3 or 4 friends. Each of those 100 teams will commit to raising $1,000 as a team. 100 teams times $1,000 each equals $100,000. That is the power of one. The primary means for collecting the money will simply be through word of mouth. We will go out and ask for an immediate, one-time, tax-deductible donation from our friends and neighbors. We will ask via email, Facebook, phone, by walking door to door in our own neighborhoods. We will make it easy for people to donate by providing electronic means if that is their desired method. That's the gist of it. We get out there and ask. And it will be easy because we have a lot of people who want this path and we're happy to contribute a one-time $10, $20, or $30, or even $50 or $100 donation for this class. How many of you here tonight are willing to give a one-time donation of 10 or 20 or 30 bucks?
Yeah.
How many of you know friends, family, and neighbors who are willing to give 10 or 20 or $30 for this class? There are over 16,000 people in our town that we just need to ask. Not just the registered voters. Not just a small portion of the registered voters who actually go out and vote. Not just the property owners who pay taxes. We're going to ask everyone. And there are also many people in neighboring cities who are just as excited as we are about getting this path because they'll know they'll use it too. And they want to contribute financially. I've already had plenty of people who live outside of Yorkville contacting me asking how they can donate money. This isn't just a Yorkville issue. This is a Fox Valley community issue. Only 4,000 people, and that's less than a quarter of Yorkville's population. Only 4,000 people gave a one-time just $25 donation. There's $100,000. Of course, some people will give more and some people will give less. And we might even get more than 4,000 people to contribute. That's the power of coming together. While our 100 fundraising teams will be encouraged to simply go out and ask for donations, they will also be empowered to come up with their own creative ways to raise their teams $1,000. The important thing is getting 100, just 100, to commit to this plan. In the last 1 week alone, just 1 week that we've come up with this, we've already secured commitments from 20 people. Guess who is number one on that list? Our mayor, Yorkville. There are over 40 subdivisions in our city, and if we can recruit 2 team leaders from each one of those subdivisions, there's 80 team leaders. We've already got 20. Did you realize that those 20 people actually represent our first year payment for this path? It's about $19,000 in 2012, 2013. Already covered, already committed. Just wait until the rest of this town hears about this challenge. I will bet you there are some team leaders sitting out here in this audience right now. So, I thank you for issuing this challenge to privately raise funds for our bike path. I've lived in Yorkville for most of my life, and if there is one thing I know about our city, it is this. We come together and we rise to a challenge. That's not just the Yorkville of the past when our city was small. It's the Yorkville of the present. I know a lot of people in this town, a lot of the townies, a lot of the newbies. And I know they are good people. People who rise to a challenge. I know we can, and we will come together to raise our city's small portion of the bike pass cost. And as for the Yorkville of the future, where are we going to be? Coming together out of the Yorkville bike path, right? I am confident in your good sense to recognize the power of our good people. I am confident that you will embrace our fundraising plans with a thank you for doing this. Thank you for making it possible for our city to secure a $1 million asset for the good of these people. I am confident that you will respond with a firm and enthusiastic yes to the state of Illinois' bike path offer so that we can begin this fundraising for this great path. Thank you.
Before we move on, I'd actually like to ask if there is anyone here in the audience that would like to take on this and pledge to become part of the Power of One, to pledge $1,000. Okay. We have a number of people here. So before we leave this evening, we'll make sure that we get your names and numbers, and because that will even put us further than what we were before. So I thank everyone for their willing to participate in this. And I'd like to turn it over to the keys now.
Hi, my name is John McHugh. Ms. Lynn had stated I sent her an email. I have been involved and headed the fundraiser to honor my brother Danny since Danny passed away in 2005. We did, as she had said, we had raised over $200,000. We started that golf outing simply to provide scholarships as a way to honor him. And with the tremendous support of just our family and friends, we raised over $150,000 in 4 years. And this was solely with a golf outing. While my family and I have always supported a bike path being installed along this busy and very dangerous section of Kennedy Road to prevent another death or serious injury, I've always personally believed that this should be a community decision. And this board, you guys put that to the community, and I realize they voted no. However, today we are at a much different crossroads. What you're seeing today is members of your community have stepped forward with a plan to take up this task and commitment with absolutely no financial burden to your community. While I haven't been present at the previous meetings on this issue, I have followed it closely and have been made aware of your concerns. The strongest and most compelling argument that I've heard from this board is your fear of being on the hook for this bike path financially. And that's why I wanted to speak here tonight. As I stated at the beginning of what my family has been able to accomplish in such a short time, to me, it's something much more trivial than what we're talking about here tonight. And as they've demonstrated, the Push for the Path is a much larger group with the ability to generate more community dollars along with corporate and local business support. Look, much of what you guys do is a gamble. I mean, when you make your city budget, you're gambling. You're guessing, you're educated guesses, but you're trying to decide what's coming in, how we're going to pay for things. And regardless of your decision tonight, you're going to be taking a gamble. But my question is to you is, are you willing to gamble on us or gamble that somebody else is going to get killed on that road? I'll accept Darlene's death as a terrible, however preventable accident. But if you don't accept this opportunity from that Push for the Path is offering, we're all should be held accountable the next time somebody is killed on that road, and it's going to happen again. All this group is asking for is a chance to make a difference. And since you're going to gamble tonight, I just pray that you gamble on us. Thank you.
My name is Rick Randolph, Joliet, Illinois. I'm with the Prairie Parklands Ecosystem, which is out part of New Daylin. It's a volunteer group that works in Will, Kendall, Livingston, and Kankakee counties for programs and trails. I'm here as the vice president of the organization, and also Joan is here as the president to speak tonight. Throughout the years, I've followed the articles on Route 47 that's going to be built in Kendall County. Everybody likes it, a long time coming. Comes to accommodate a new, wider road, more cars. It also has its own bike trail. I know everybody expects the people to stop by and enjoy the beautiful little towns of the river. But this trail is going to be built alongside of it as it goes north. It's going to be coming to an end. I've also read the articles about the discussion on the Kennedy Road Trail. A trail that's desperately needed for safety, for conductivity, to join the trails that will be existing in the area, and also provide a connection throughout the county. Kennedy Road is a very busy thoroughfare, a vibrant location that will see growth in the future and in the coming years. Kennedy Road needs its trail too, a trail to accommodate the hikers and bikers and pedestrians in a safe, connecting link. Scores of people are also here tonight who believe as I do and pledge their support for the project, for the benefits, and for the financial need to make the accommodation matching funds. All is needed is the vision and leadership of the committee to accept this grant. Thank you.
My name is Bob Mays, and I'm sorry to talk against the party, but
Sir, would you state your name for the record? State your name, and if there's a sign-in sheet, sign in,
my
please.
name is Bob Mays. I live at 706 Morgan. I've lived here for 50 years. And if the aldermen are going to vote for something tonight, I would like for them to vote the same way as they would if they did this financial problem with their own household. I just left the rec center, and I talked to the personnel in charge at the rec center, and he said they had 1,400 members at the rec center, and approximately 3,000 total that are not members. They just come and use the basketball court and other things. And there's a total of about 3,000 people that use the rec center. And I would like to see the bridge over River Road repaired and fixed so that we can use it again. And I would also like to see the rec center continue as is. And I would like all of you aldermen to vote tonight the same way as if you would use your, you would vote for your household finances. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, everyone, when you step up, please sign in.
Good evening, Mayor Walensky, ladies and gentlemen of the council. I'm here also to speak in favor of the bike path. And you will hear from a lot of people about how good it is for Yorkville. And I truly believe all of you know that. You feel it's good for the city of Yorkville. But as the keepers of the purse, as you may say, you have to be aware of our money. I think the push for the path will meet their goal. I think they will be able to raise the money. And I think with that in mind, you should also then think about who's going to pay for it after it's done. How are you going to maintain it? Eric Deuce will be saddled, as you might say, with the task of keeping it up. It's going to be a challenge. It won't cost money. Not a lot, but if you think about the number of people that will use this bike path, I, for one, have to take my bicycle all the way to Oswego, North Aurora, Sugar Grove to get on the bike path. I have to drive there to get on. This will allow me not have to do that. But when you think about the people that will use it, as opposed to or compared to the people that use our parks in our town now, not a lot of people use them, unfortunately. They're vacant. Mr. Gilson has one across from his house, one down the street from me. They're used, yes, but not very much. A bike path will be used by a lot of people. When you think about our baseball diamonds, in particular, are only used 3 months a year. That's it. I mean, I wish they could be used more, but baseball is only played from April through 4th of July. Maybe 1 or 2 may be used after that. The amount of money that we spend maintaining ball diamonds in this town is a lot. And I know I sat on the Yorkville Youth Baseball Board for many, many years, coached for many years, as well as some of the people I've seen here too. Diamonds aren't used that much. And I think part of a solution you may want to look at is the park board could charge each person that uses that field $2 on top of the fee that they use. This is just a suggestion. $2 on top of every player playing would go to maintain those fields. That money then would free up a lot more for Mr. Deuce to be able to maintain these paths. That's one of the things that will probably come forth with push for the path as they raise money. We will not only look for ways to pay for it, but also to maintain it. Ideas the council should consider. Our parks are not used as much as they should be for a lot of reasons, but I think a bike path will be used by a lot of people. Because from there, you can go all the way to St. Charles, Wisconsin. You can go for a long ways. And I think the city council, or I hope the city council would at least give this committee, Push for the Path, time to be able to raise the money so that you may be able to put these paths in. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Connie Rader. I'm Creative Director of Soul Media Group. I'm here on behalf of a local Yorkville business. On behalf of Jason Sola, the owner of Soul Media Group, he is a Yorkville resident. Soul Media Group is committed to supporting Push for the Path and providing web presence for Push for the Path so that this grassroots effort can get going. We'll do this via established website already. You can go to pushforthepath.org. We've already created it. You'll be able to donate directly on the website to Push for the Path. You'll be able to join forces to become a member of Power of One right on the website, and you can make donations there too. So we're just so here at the local business supporting Push for the Path. Hello, my name is Wendy Martin. I'm a resident of Yorkville, and I've lived in the Grand Reserve subdivision for over 5 years now. I've been extremely frustrated over the multi-use path debate since I first became aware of it. To my understanding, the city had applied for a grant from the state and received it. Case closed, I thought. I thought if the city had applied for a grant, they had figured out the monies to cover the cost of their portion. But alas, not the case. Then it was brought to a vote that I believe was given to uninformed citizens. A lot of citizens thought they were going to have to pay thousands of dollars on their tax bill. Not the case. It was actually like the cost of a pizza, I think, for the average household. But it was voted on, and it almost passed anyway, even though the public was uninformed. I'm not sure why it was voted on in the first place. Do the residents vote for new traffic lights? Do we vote for what type of police cars our forces use? No, these are common sense, safety-driven decisions. Our town is growing. It may have slowed down over the past few years, but it will go back to where it was. I understand that my own subdivision has been purchased and will be building homes again as early as this summer. That is a lot of bike riding, running, dog walking, children playing residents. It's also a lot more traffic. Right now, we in Grand Reserve can't ride anywhere. Every path and sidewalk is a dead end. There is no safe ways for our kids to get to school. I'm already cringing at seeing some of the little guys I've noticed riding crookedly alongside traffic. Imagine when the houses are starting to be built again. Imagine when the population begins to grow more rapidly again. Imagine. Now imagine a town where we can ride downtown to buy ice cream or popcorn or visit the cute shops and watch the kayaks by the river. A town that is prosperous like Geneva or St. Charles. And the crazy thing is we aren't even asking for your money anymore. We will raise the money. We will have 5Ks and bowling tournaments and sit out by the river with cans if we have to. But you have to give us a chance. Please try to see into the future of our town. In the words of Harold Mayfield, progress is a tide. If we stand still, we will surely be drowned. To stay on the crust, we have to keep moving. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to drown, and I certainly don't want to be hit by a car. Thank you.
My name is Jimmy McHugh. First and foremost, on behalf of the McHugh family, we would like to thank Lynn, John, and Maureen for forming the Push for the Path organization. We all wouldn't be here without your fortitude and determination to see this through. Secondly, thank everybody who is present here today and has taken the time out of their busy schedule to show their schedules to show their support. We, the family of Darlene McHugh, still struggle on a daily basis with the loss of such a phenomenal friend, sister, aunt, and mom. Something so simple as going for a Sunday morning bike ride turned into a tragic accident and turned our lives upside down. We realized nothing was going to bring Darlene back. However, we also want to do what we can to prevent another family from suffering this loss. And this is just the beginning. As both Darlene and her late husband Danny would believe, let's see the positive through the negative. Please accept this grant. Let's build this path. Everyone here and beyond will see this through and raise the necessary funds to build a path and potentially save a life. Those who knew Darlene know she would do it for you. Let's do it for her. One thing I know is the money is a problem. I know we can raise the money. We just need your okay. Thanks.
Oh, you can go ahead. Go ahead, man.
Please state your name.
Samantha Keene. I'm on cross country at Yorkville Middle School, and we need like a safe place to run. Because last year one of my teammates was almost hit by a truck while we were running, and we need trails to run that are safe, and don't open River Road because right now it's a safe place to run at. Because right now it's safe and like, because not a lot of people are driving on it. So, thank you.
Good evening, Your Honor. I'm sorry, but I'm still stuck on the regular business, so my position on bike paths is the same. I'll just let that go. Your Honor, members of this honorable council, it has come to my attention that 3 candidates, now 4 this evening, in 2, possibly 3, now 4 districts have had their signs mysteriously removed. And in one instance, one candidate had several signs disappear. Mysteriously yet is that their opponents have not had their signs disappear. Your Honor, while I admit that there is no evidence of foul play at work here, the acts are certainly suspect. Assuming, and I re-emphasize, assuming that man had a hand in these mysterious cases, I would charge that these persons violated the candidate's First Amendment rights to freedom of speech. They violated the candidate's rights under the Fourth Amendment to be secured in the papers in person. Violated the candidate's rights under the Ninth Amendment by attempting to limit the candidate's rights. Violated a portion of the candidate's rights under Section 1 of the 14th Amendment. And in cases where the candidates are the female sex, have had their 19th Amendment rights violated. On a moral basis, that the individual or individuals, if any, have violated our citizens' rights on the pretense that our citizens, as Americans, are too dumb, too stupid, and too ignorant to know who's best for them, and thus our choices need to be limited. I must further charge that if these actions by man, if any, took these apprehensible actions during the night under the cloaks of darkness for the purpose of intimidating the candidates and to stop their message, that these perpetrators have no more courage than the night riders of the White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Freedom has many difficulties, and our democracy is not perfect. And these actions can serve no purpose other than to make a mockery of our system and our form of government here at home and around the world. I wish to make then my message very clear to all incumbents, regardless of party affiliation, that the rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God. And to all other peoples, I remind you that liberty and blessings associated with freedom flourish when the Spirit of God flows freely and the hand of man is absent. Your Honor, this evening, I then petition the Council that the following steps be taken. That this Council put forth a resolution condemning such actions. That this Council work with law enforcement in clarifying election and candidate signs as where they are to be made with the standards. and that standards be made via by the press. That due to the fact that such actions are detritus to our American form of government, that fines and penalties ranging from $500 to $5,000 be imposed for campaign sign tampering and theft. To our citizens, I ask that you be vigilant and watch out for sign tampering, that you contact law enforcement and report all such activity, that you use cameras and video, including hunting cameras that are motion triggered, to capture any such activity and information about the perpetrators. To all candidates running for public office for the first time, regardless of political party or for the public office that you are seeking, and especially to those of you who have been affected for these heinous acts, I remind you that liberty is not for the timid, and freedom is not for the faint at heart. During the Revolutionary War, only 15% of the 13 colonies came out to fight for and defend our independence. The few that fought were outnumbered in many battles by professionally, fully armed, well-trained soldiers at a ratio of 20 to 1. The morale of the British was high, but never higher than the American people's spirit to be free. I therefore encourage you to continue your battles, that you might ignite the fires of liberty one heart at a time. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joe Fornell. 3 years ago, I moved here from Tinley Park to begin my career as a teacher at Yorkville High School. In that short time that I've lived in this community, I've seen what a strong network we have. Earlier this year, I had the privilege to help with another fundraiser that many of you attended. We raised a lot of money for another family in this community. And so I'm here speaking on behalf of some members at Yorkville High School and the Yorkville wrestling team, and stating that we will assist with any help that you need, any volunteer programs, anything that we can do to help organize. We've done it before and we'll do it again. Thank you.
When you vote tonight, I would appreciate it if you would take into account in your vote the cost of the annual maintenance for this path, the cost of the liability insurance when somebody is injured, raped, or murdered on the bike path, as happened to a friend of mine. Well, go ahead and laugh. As happened to a friend of mine in Elmhurst when she sued the city of Elmhurst for several $1 million. I would ask yourselves the question, what if the fundraisers fall short of their goal and now the city is going to be on the hook for X amount of dollars? Well, city taxpayers. And I would also ask you to consider what guarantee do you have or do we have that you're actually going to get the money from the state? The state's broke. The state doesn't have any money. Yorkville doesn't have any money. Apparently all the people that have money are sitting in this room right now. And I think that's really nice. The other thing that I would encourage you to take into account when you vote tonight is that the citizens of Yorkville voted this down twice. There was nothing on the ballot that said, what if the people of Yorkville take up a collection or have 3 fundraisers and collect the money? I recall voting against this twice. And if we go ahead with this, then to me, our vote means nothing. And why don't we just dispense with elections and let's just come to the city council meeting every week and take a vote. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Billy McHugh. As I said, I'm on the board for Push for Path. And I was here maybe a month ago and talk about this, and the point that I talked to mostly at that time was that this is not going to cost the taxpayers a penny. And again, that was not on the ballot. That this was going to be free. This was going to cost the taxpayers. Now it's not. As you've heard from my brothers, Lynn, all the people here, we have been involved in raising money. And we have never had a true purpose to raise big dollars, but we raised almost over $200,000. And we did this with family and friends. And we have a large family and a lot of friends. But now we got the community along with us of Yorkville, the surrounding towns. There's people from many different towns here that are here to support this. And I know your question is, you guys all want this, as long as the citizens do not have to pay for this. And we are telling you, and all these people, that we are going to take care of that. And I don't know how else we can do it by what the people have said here from the community that's going to step and raise the money for this. They're not raising this money is not an option. The only thing that can stop us is your vote. And we will raise the money. Thank you.
My name is Ann Mooring. I'm here with my daughter Eloise, and we don't have a prepared speech, but I just wanted to get up and say that we moved here 10 years ago, and I feel a little bit guilty for moving away from the original house we were in, which is 2 blocks from where Darlene and Hugh's accident occurred. One of the reasons we moved was because our neighborhood did not have sidewalks, it didn't have a pool, and it was important for us to raise kids and have them be able to participate in physical education activities in a safe way. She wanted to step up with me, a little shy right now, but she's part of her student council at Autumn Creek Elementary School, where this path will ride right alongside Kennedy Road. I approached Dave Ascolani, the principal of Autumn Creek Elementary School, and he said that he is supportive of the path and would be Eloise is interested in getting support from the student council and the student body there. I also approached, and she was unable to make it tonight, the Girl Scout leader of the Northern Illinois district, of which she just joined this year. And we've been given permission to approach all of the Girl Scout troops within Yorkville to garner physical support for this initiative. So we're proud to be one of the, how many people now? One of the many.
There were 20, maybe 30.
One of the many people who have already committed to raising $1,000. That's about it.
Good evening, Mayor and Alderman. My name is John Church. I'm representing tonight the Conservation Foundation. And the Conservation Foundation, I think many of you are aware of, is quite active in the area on a number of issues related to land and water and other conservation type of activities. And I'm just here tonight to say that the Conservation Foundation supports the effort to complete the trail system and would like to see this phase of it completed through the city. And secondly, if there's anything that the Conservation Foundation could do that might offer some type of assistance in completing the project, they certainly would love to have that discussion. The other thing I'd mention is that along that line, there's a new publication about the Fox River that does also show the Fox River Trail System that this will hook up to. I've got a file over here that I'll distribute or pass down here in a minute. So thank you for your time.
Good evening, I'm Jill Fleischman, resident of Yorkville, and I moved here over 6 years ago from Oak Brook. As you know, that's one of the premier communities in our country, and I'm actually a person that had a bike built bike path built right on my own property. I granted easement for that to be done. And I went to my first meeting regarding building the bike paths when my son was about a year and a half old. The initial plan was voted down, and later on, that was in the round before 1979. And finally, in around 1995, we got a bike path. And he got his driver's license that year. So unfortunately, I didn't reap the rewards from that, but I was told that the wheels of village government turn very slowly. So I have to ask you, if the cost is much now, what will the cost be in the future compared to what it would cost us now with this federal grant? And also, when I go to sell my home in this community, I'll be investing in things that will make it more attractive to the buyer. And one of the things that will make it more attractive to a buyer is to have amenities in the community. Anyone moving to this area is going to be comparing us to the surrounding communities. What do they have to offer? Do they have good schools? Do they have a good recreation system for their children? Do they have bike paths? So if you think it will cost us money not to have a bike path, think what it will cost us each when we sell our homes without a community that has these amenities. I think it'll be more than $20.
And I'm also the owner of Whitewater Ice Cream, a small local business, only less than a year old. And I'm happy to be working with Linda Butek and this awesome group of people to have the first business fundraiser for the Push for the Path. We're going to be donating money for every item purchased on March 20th will go directly to Push for the Path. And I'm hoping that anyone else out there that has a business, knows a friend that has a business, maybe could do the same thing. And do it over and over and over, 50 cents at a time, and we can help make this goal. And I'm very overwhelmed by the participation tonight. I've lived here about 20 years in a kind of county my entire life, and this is really inspiring to know that even though Yorkville has grown tremendously, we still have this great heart. So thank you all for coming.
Peterson. I've lived here a little over 6 years and I'm a resident of Yorkville. And I have some questions and I also have some comments regarding the path. First of all, it's my understanding that the City Council has until August of this year to let IDOT know if they want to proceed with the funding. So this is something that we don't have to take a vote on tonight. This vote can be tabled because we have a few more months yet to make that decision. Sorry, I'm trying to collect my thoughts. Part of it is I have issues. And part of it is that the City Council for the last 2 years now in a row has raised our tax levy. You know, this was an issue because the residents, none of the residents ever said they didn't want this path. The residents simply said we couldn't afford it. And if we have a group now that is willing to collect the funds for the path, that's a wonderful idea. But I have concerns regarding the guarantee on it. All of you in City Council, you agreed to represent the residents and your constituents The residents voted twice and turned down the path. I feel that you need to go back to the residents again and say, okay, we have this group of people, they're willing to commit to raise the money. Are you comfortable with this if they fall short? Personally, the ones that want to spearhead this to raise the money, I don't know if it's possible, but I'd like to see a personal guarantee. I would like to see a statement drawn up by the city attorney with these people that are organizing this not-for-profit organization that are actually going to be listed on it, to give a personal guarantee, to give their houses collateral, to say, okay, we're this confident and we're 100% sure we're going to raise these funds. Everybody here is saying we can do it, then it should be a moot point to have to issue a personal guarantee, for the funds. It's just, since I've moved here in 6 years, I've been burned. A bike path would maybe be nice, but it's clear on the other end of town, and I'm probably not going to be able to use it. I can't even ride my bike around my block because my roads are falling apart. My roads are so bad in my subdivision, and we keep talking about all this growth and development and everything, but you're forgetting the existing residents and you're forgetting the existing infrastructure of the city. And I just have a problem with keep wanting to add new and keep wanting to build and keep doing all these things while the rest of the town is just literally crumbling and falling apart. I want to see all the streets in my subdivision get repaved. That's what's needed. There's other things as well that we've got this build program going on with the city now, and we're giving people tax credits for their houses, but we have an entire strip mall on the corner of 71 and Route 47 that's completely empty. We have empty and abandoned houses that have been foreclosed on and they're sitting empty for months on end. And, who wants to spend $120,000 on a house that's sitting empty when the tax assessor's office has that house assessed at $200,000? Who wants to buy that house and fight with the county, the Kendall County tax assessor's office? Because I've been fighting with them for 2 or 3 years with the property value of my house. I can't even afford to sell my house now for what we owe on our mortgage. And we have so much equity dumped into our house, we're stuck either way. And it just, new is good. New is nice. If we can have a bike path at no cost to the residents, that's fine, that's great. I just want a guarantee. That's all I'm asking. If you're that confident and that sure and that 100% and that gung-ho that you guys can raise the money, then more power to you. But then put your money where your mouth is and put your house up as collateral, so that if you fall short on the funds, you're willing to take out a home equity loan and pay the difference. Because we've had too much stuff in the past that's come back to bite the residents in the butt. We've had the Rob Roy sewer project that's been, I don't even want to go there. Now we've got the, I don't even know what it's called, the Countryside Parkway. I don't understand all these deals with the developers and everything. So the city council takes out a bond for the development of this Countryside Center. So they go ahead and sell the bond because they have a proven developer that says that they're going to develop this property. So the developer tears down everything that's there, the existing mall that's there. So the city goes ahead and sells the bond and reimburses the developer for the demolition. To me, if they were going to do business in our town, they should have paid for their own demolition. And now in a few short years, we're looking at $1.8 million that the residents are going to have to pay if this cannot be developed in the next few years. And it's just, there's been too many things that have come back to bite the residents in the butt with higher and higher and higher taxes. If you want to make Yorkville a desirable place to live, let's have some decent roads to drive on. Roads that we use 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. Not a path that's going to get used 12, 14 hours a day in the summertime for maybe 4 or 5 months tops. It's not going to be plowed or maintained in the wintertime. The bike paths are nice, and, private organization or group can raise the money for them, fine, but I want a guarantee. I want a personal guarantee so that it doesn't come back and bite me in the butt like every other bad decision that's been made in the past when it comes to any kind of growth or development in this town. You were elected by me and residents just like me to represent our best interest. And when I live here in this town, and I can't even ride my bike around my block, and my streets are falling apart, and my car's getting torn up driving to my house every day, and my property taxes keep going up because you keep raising the tax levy, and you keep pushing for all this new development and growth with one bad deal after another to developers, I mean, you have to be responsible at some point. You know, before we add new homes, new restaurants, new stores, new shops, new strip malls, you know, new anything, you have to take care of the existing residents first. You have to make this a desirable place for the existing residents to want to live. And when you keep raising the tax levy and you're not fixing the sewers and you're not fixing the streets, it's not a desirable place to live. If I could get my money out of my house, all the money I dumped in my house, I'd be out of this town tomorrow. That's how it's going. I just want, you know, decent roads to drive on and a good quality of life. I want lower property taxes, reasonable property taxes. And, you know, if you guys want the path and you want to raise the money for the path, more power to you, but I want to see a personal guarantee for the money. I would like not to see the city council vote on this tonight. I would like you to go back and ask your constituents how they feel about this, and if we can do some kind of personal guarantee. I don't know what the legal ramifications are for this not-for-profit thing. I don't know if there's a reason why that hasn't been filed and pursued yet. You know, it's kind of a catch-22. The city doesn't want to approve this until we know the funds are there, we have a guarantee, but they don't want to go ahead with their nonprofit thing until the city council approves it first. And I don't know if there's a legal reason why they can't do the nonprofit thing until the city council approves it. But, you know, if they are willing to do a personal guarantee, then that would kind of solve the problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Lynn Dubicek again with Push for the Path. I just want to clarify one thing, and that is that when you're going to create a non-for-profit 501c3, which is the official non-for-profit organization that if someone gives you dollars, you get a write-off on your taxes. You can't just say that you're raising money arbitrarily for a community or for bike trails in a community. It's too broad. You have to have a specific reason. So until the council votes to accept the grant, the paperwork to become incorporated as a 501c3 cannot be put through. That is one of the dilemmas that we've reached because we have a lot of people that want to give us money now, but we cannot accept a penny. We cannot open up a bank account until the first step is taken, which is to approve the grant, the awarding of the grant. You will accept the grant. Then tomorrow, we can file the paperwork with the Secretary of State and legally go for 501c3, which is what we have provided for you, all of the executed documents. So, because people may just create non-for-profits. You know, you have to have a very specific reason of what you're raising money for. So, that's what we're trying to do. The right one.
Okay, do we have any other public comment?
Just one real quick, Mr. Mayor. I have known the McHughes for 25 years. Jimmy, Johnny, and Danny say they're going to raise the money. I can vouch for them. I've known them that long. They're good people. They'll do it. Just counteract the other accusations that were made. The McHughes say they're going to do something. That's as good as put it in writing. Thank you.
My name is Charlie Martin. I live in Grand Reserve, and I actually would put my house up for collateral, because right now it ain't worth a dime. I'm not exaggerating. I put $170,000 down on my house 5 years ago. All made from money I made on other houses in Wheaton. And right now, I honestly don't think it would be worth anything. The way Grand Reserve stands in this town, and it's sickening. But honestly, you know what? I'd put it up. I just talked to this McHugh guy. I'd put it up.
There you go, Lisa, you got your house.
My name's Ron Morris. I've lived here for 40 years. I'm retired, on a fixed income, like a lot of other people. The way things are going, I can't afford to live here. I am like a lot of these other people. I'd like to have some sort of guarantee that it's going to be taken care of down the road. Not only police protection, and everybody has good wishes, but are they going to come through? And as I said, at that rate, I'm going to be forced to move out of town. In the future, so we need to think about these things. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Last chance, or else we're going to move on. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to Public Works Committee report. This is for the Kennedy Road Shared Use ITEP Bike Grant. I'll entertain a motion to accept the ITEP Bike Path Grant Award for the Kennedy Road Shared Use Path. We have comments or questions from the council. Comments or questions from the council? Carlo?
Sure. The issue is a sensitive issue, obviously, and I think the speakers that spoke today have the right idea that everybody in this council wants the bike path. The question is, do we use the taxpayers' money as a personal guarantee? I don't know where the last gentleman who spoke lives. He didn't give his address. But I represent Ward 1. That is my job. That's who elected me, and that's why I'm here. Overwhelming, the number of people who contact me from Ward 1 have said no. The 4 out of the 5 people who stood up today and said no are from Ward 1. And I don't know where the 5th individual lives, so I can't say. So my ward is heavily against this bike path. Via email, via text mail, via voicemail messages that I received as an alderman, the direction for my ward is clear. So although I want this bike path, I have a bike, I drive my bike up to the bike trail to the JV on St. Charles like everybody else. I'm not here to vote for what I want. I'm here to vote for what my constituents want. And my constituents said no.
Marty?
Yes, done a lot of research on this issue, talked to many residents in Ward 3. And probably 45 out of 50 have no problem with the path. They like it being an amenity for the city. So at least on Ward 3, the people I've talked to are resoundingly 95% for it. I broke it down into pros and cons. Financially, if you look at a $1.75 million project and we have to put in $350,000, that is a return on investment of about 500%. Any business person's estimation, that's a pretty good return on investment. Public safety is an issue, and this would provide much needed public safety along that road from 47 to wherever it ends up over there. I'm not into, I ride a motorcycle, so biking's a little too hard for me, so I don't personally care about that for me or my family. It's for the good of the city, and I'm looking at this. 3 is there's 2 big initiatives in our country right now. Kids are overweight, everybody's overweight, nobody's getting exercise, everybody's talking green, conserve gas. Gas is $5 a gallon coming shortly. We need to do things. This path would alleviate 2 of those problems. It would give the kids a place to ride their bikes to school, save their parents $5 a gallon of gas driving them to school, and saving a little pollution. 4th, it's an amenity for the city that's good for economic growth and recreation. two things which should be top priorities for any progressive growth city. People talking about their house value down, same boat. But we need activity in the city or we're never going to sell our house. It's going to sit here forever, less services, people are going to go elsewhere, we're all going to live here forever and all be neighbors for the next 50 years. So, again, nothing against you all, but myself too, I hope I'm somewhere nicer in 5, 10. Like Hawaii, I mean, I just The other thing, fifth role I see is members of the community getting together behind one good issue and really working together. Again, agree or not agree, you got to give people credit for getting out, spending their own time and their own money for an issue that they believe in. The only negative I could really come up with is the finances. I don't think anybody in the room or in the council would say if a magic wand came and path was paid for, who's going to say no? And again, you can't look at it just because I don't live out on Kennedy Road, I'm not going to use it, I'm not going to donate any money or put it in my tax money. So in conclusion, after thinking about this issue long and hard, they're doing a lot of research, talking to residents, I encourage everyone to think about the big picture and the long-range vision of the city, not just the next 2 months. I'm not, again, a big green person. I don't need to pass for exercise, but for the good of the entire city, I will be supporting this issue.
I also represent Ward 1, and as you can see tonight, once again, the majority of the people that stood up in opposition to this were my residents. And I can only go by several things. Number one, I'm a parent too. I've got 4 young children from 8 down to 3 years old. I like bike paths too. I think they're a wonderful thing. But there's one thing I made a promise when I got elected here to the United States of Yorkville, and that promise was I was going to be ultra-conservative. And every vote I've taken so far has been that way, and this is no exception. Unfortunately, going by 2 things. Number one, I don't like, as some of the speakers said, putting taxpayers' dollars at risk without some sort of a guarantee. And our track record as a city has been atrocious for doing that. We've been stung over and over again by taking risks and getting stung. And our track record is very poor. And I support the fact that we need some sort of a guarantee. But more importantly, I support the fact that my constituents overwhelmingly are against this, unless there's some sort of a guarantee going forward. And therefore, I will not be supporting this.
The majority of emails I receive, Ward 4 typically corresponds through email, and there are a few here. Actually, the gentleman that is going to put up his house for collateral is one of our residents as well. And I also need some kind of guarantee. I realize that the 501c cannot be established unless the city supports it. Can Yorkville EDC collect the money until this happens? Because it's, once again, everybody's promising they're going to donate, they're going to give us funds, everything would be okay, it's going to be covered.
Yorkville EDC is not a 501c3, it is a 501c6.
But is there a way that you can collect the money somehow?
No. Because people want to be able to, if you're going to accept a check from someone for $1,000, they want to know that they can write it off on their taxes. And quite honestly, I can't blame them. I would want to write it off on my taxes. So it has to be done the proper way.
But then again, you're asking the city to trust all of you that we would get that money, and there's no guarantee.
But yet, I do understand that, but the 4 of us that are involved in Push for the Path are 4, as I said, people that are embedded in Yorkville. It's not like the 4 of us are people that you've never seen before. We're people who live here, who work here, our businesses are here. And I would hope that you would have faith in us. And then when we pull together all of these people, friends, neighbors, co-workers, individuals from the school, the athletic organizations. It's a wealth. It is an absolute wealth. It's a jewel what we have here. The resources that we have within our community. And I think you need to have faith. I believe that we will raise the money in a shorter amount of time than it's required, and I think it will raise more. And I feel that I am being realistic. So that is the chart that I gave you. I think the chart that I showed you was something like $380,000. And I believe that we can do it. I know that, again, if everybody in this room that's here to support this, if you raise your little orange flag and show everybody who we are. And when people are here with checks that are willing to write us a check tonight, that we would be happy to accept the checks, and we will use it to open up the bank account tomorrow.
We also trusted many developers that came to us.
We're not developers, we're
I know you're not, but you're asking this council to use our taxpayers as collateral because it may come back to them and they may have to pay for this. And you're saying trust, and I do. I trust the community, I trust the people. But yet I'm representing a very large ward. And as several people said, they did not have an increase of any kind in their taxes or any other infrastructure, whatever, or a bike path. In the future, in 2 or 3 years, they don't want an increase. They don't want to be paying here. And I know that you say you can guarantee, but I too would like something in writing. I really would like
I think that by creating the
The
not-for-profit, putting our
time for
reputation.
public comment is over. This is where the council deliberate now. Okay, so we are done. It's up to us to discuss this and vote on this.
And again, I want the council to think about 5 years from now. If we don't have this money, I mean, we have to pay for River Road. We have other expenses coming up, large expenses.
Like your medical?
And,
Come on, guys.
and we have to take care of those expenses first. And we have to consider those expenses in the future.
Thank you, Rose. Anyone else, Mark?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm one of those that said I wanted the money up front. I prefer to have it that way, but realistically, I understand that's not going to happen. You can't start collecting until we give you our approval. And based on what I've heard here tonight, I'm going to put faith in this organization. And I'm gonna
We done, sir? Anyone on this side? Dan?
Yeah, I would like to say that the people that are here that are working for Push for the Path, this is completely different than a developer coming to us and promising something. I think these are our residents, these are the people that are here, and I don't think it's right to even compare them to a developer coming in. And not that you can't. These are the people that live here, work here, have their businesses here, and love their community and want it to be a better place. Not allowing them to do this is not going to get our roads fixed. The money's not going to come here to fix our roads. It would be great if it could, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to make our balance bigger if we don't allow them to do this. I have full faith in them that they'll do it. I also would like to say that for economic development, everyone here has said that their houses aren't worth anything, their taxes are high. The only way to make your taxes lower is to expand your tax base. The only way to expand your tax base is to have people coming into this town, businesses coming into this town will come here when we have people here. The people are looking for recreation, they're looking for amenities, they're looking for a place to raise their family, they're looking for that. That's what they want. And I have heard all along people on this council tell me that's not what they want. They want the roads fixed. Yes, they do. I agree with that 100%. But they also want to come here and they want to have a bike trail. They want to have a rec center. They want to have good schools. And that is what these people here are saying. And I think that we need to respect that and allow them to do it.
Well, our world sometimes we get so wrapped up in all the negatives in life. And I think this was a big negative. There was an accident there. And I drove down that road. I worked at Grand Reserve School. It's terrible. And a lot of people always say, oh, don't let me down with your vote, Jackie. You know, we voted you in. I'm going to ask that of you. I'm going to take a leap of faith. I'm going to vote for this. I'm going to ask all of you, don't let me down.
Not much more needs to be said. That there's 4 in favor right now, 3 against. The mayor's obviously in favor.
What is that?
I've had many reservations about this issue. Many people know that I was not in favor of the referendums. I was not in favor of additional taxes for bike trips. My position was if the city can manage it within our budget, that's where we can do it. The referendums failed clearly. We're beyond that. That's done. We're moving forward. This is an opportunity that we have. There is support from the community. And even as Lynn knows, I've talked to her a couple times, and I've pushed her for more information because this is where my reservation is it is kind of a trust issue here. We are going to take a leap of faith on this. I think this is good for the community, even though I have my reservations on the fallback of the city's position, where we have to be cautious and guarded of where we're at. This is an issue that the residents want, especially in Ward 3, as Marty said. Ward 3 does want this. Even though this trail does not go into our ward, I was elected for my constituents, and my position also is that we have to consider the greater good of the community. I will be voting in favor of this.
Okay, I don't think much more needs to be said. Roll call, please.
Pat?
Aye.
Munns?
Aye.
Spears?
Nay.
Colosimo?
Nay.
Funkhauser?
Aye.
Milszewski?
Aye.
Teeling?
Aye.
Gilson?
Nay.
Motion passes.
Okay, there is. The motion is actually in 3 parts, so we're going to go through this 2 more times. So stick around for 5 more minutes. I will entertain a motion to approve a local agency agreement for federal participation between the United City of Yorkville and the State of Illinois Department of Transportation and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute. So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions on this one? Roll call, please.
Spears?
Nay.
Colosimo?
Nay.
Funkhauser?
Aye.
Milszewski?
Aye.
Teeling?
Aye.
Gilson?
Nay.
Pat?
Aye.
Munns?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Lastly, I have a motion to approve a preliminary engineering services agreement for federal participation between the United City of Yorkville and Engineering Enterprises, Inc., and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have comments or questions on this one? Roll call, please.
Colosimo?
Nay.
Funkhauser?
Aye.
Milszewski?
Aye.
Teeling?
Aye.
Gilson?
Nay.
Pat?
Aye.
Munns?
Aye.
Spears?
Nay.
Motion passes.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. Everyone is welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Acting Chief. All right, sir. You got the seat by the door there. Quick escape.
Okay, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended. So moved. Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Gelson.
Aye.
Teeling.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next we have no minutes for approval. Moving again, the mayor's report. First item is River Road Bridge Intergovernmental Agreement Update. There's an informational item right now. As you may have read in the paper, I did go to the County Highway Committee meeting and talk to them about the importance of getting the River Road Bridge open, and talk to them about maybe putting some skin in the game and possibly floating us a loan for some of the money up front. Because this is a regional project, it's important to Kendall County residents. That would really help us on our cash flow. Coming up with $600,000 in one fiscal year, although we haven't budgeted, this will really help our cash flow. So I would definitely like to publicly thank Bob Davidson, Chairman of the Highway Committee, John Shaw, who was there and was supportive of it, Jane Kukul, who was there and supportive of it, and Nancy Martin, who was very supportive of it. I was a little surprised by Suzanne Petrella, who was a big no. It was really surprising because I know she's District 1. I thought she was supposed to represent Yorkville. So I don't know what her deal was. I heard that she moved out of district. Maybe she doesn't really care about our problems in District 1 anymore, but I'm not sure. But I'll open it up for questions if anyone has questions on this. What we're looking at is a 6-year loan of up to $600,000, 0% interest. George?
Where are we going to pull those funds from, Gary, out of the budget?
Pull the fund.
There is $600,000 currently budgeted for fiscal year 13 for the River Road Bridge project.
Right.
So if you choose to move forward with it and the county approves the intergovernmental agreement as well, basically you'll just take that $600,000 and spread it over the next 6 fiscal years.
Okay. And then one other question.
Yes, sir.
The preliminary engineering and design and construction in that, will that be bid out for competitive pricing, or is that automatically going to be, we're going to use our engineering firm?
I'm sorry, is that phase 1 and phase 2?
Yes.
That's already been
done, right?
So there's no engineering that's going to be completed on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There will be construction engineering as part of the actual final part of it. It's inspections, it's...
The state bids the project out, though, right? The state is bidding it out?
Who's going to do
the state is bidding the construction portion of the project, and then we are providing the construction engineering services for that project.
So you'll be the engineer. Is that included in what we've in our standard contract with you, or is that outside the scope of what we agreed?
It'll be outside, and that agreement, along with the joint agreement, I believe was approved a couple meetings ago.
Are we going to look for competitive pricing on engineering? Or are we going to? Because obviously it's outside the scope of what we're planning on doing, and
It's already been approved. You've already approved the engineering contract for EDI.
Right, I know, but it's outside of the scope of that. Correct?
No, we're talking about for the bridge.
That's what I asked earlier.
You've approved a supplemental contract for engineering services for the River Road Bridge program with EDI. So they've already been selected as construction engineers.
Has our city attorney reviewed this?
This isn't the actual agreement, right? This is not the actual agreement. We're just bringing the concept to the council first, see if the council is okay with it, and we will bring back the agreement. So it'll get approved by us and the highway committee. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kathy Orr will draw the agreement up, correct?
Yeah. The county board's direction to us is they didn't want to even entertain it until they had formal go-ahead from us.
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I actually spoke about this with Chairman Davidson a couple of times, and I do appreciate their willingness to work with us, and as well as Mr. Coco and Ms. Martin and Mr. Shaw. I think it's a no-brainer. Obviously, a loan with 0% interest that can help our cash flow in the next 6 years. I think it's in the best interest of the taxpayers, and I appreciate the county's cooperation with us. Obviously, it benefits both of our residents, and I hope it's the first step in improved relations from here on forward.
Anyone else? Okay, so this will come back once we have a formal agreement. Next on our mayor's report is an amended collective bargaining agreement between the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150, Public Employees Division, and the United City of Yorkville. We have a motion for that, don't we? So I will entertain a motion to approve that agreement that I just said.
So moved. Second.
And the deal with this is there is some language in our drug testing policy and the union contract that jive with federal DOT language. So the union is agreeable to the language change. All we have to do is prove it, and the union will approve it, and it moves on. Comments or questions?
Yes, sir. Just a question. Why wasn't that reviewed, the drug testing policy reviewed by our administrator, our policy administrator, before we entered into an agreement with Local 150 instead of going about this after we've already agreed upon it?
Yeah, and part you probably answer, but I think it's some new language or new regulations from the feds. Or?
It's relatively new. We did have our policy administrator review it probably about a year and a half ago. Might have been 2 years ago, somewhere between a year or two ago, when we were doing our employee manual amendments. So since then, they've updated it, and before we approved it, we didn't have our policy administrator review it again. So she caught it after the fact.
Any other comments, questions? Yes, sir.
I was just going to say, I'm going to vote against it simply for the fact that I voted against the initial agreement. So any amendment to the same agreement that I voted against, I would still be voting against. So that's simply what my vote is.
And I feel the same way.
I won't feel the same way before again, though. Other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Funkhauser.
Aye.
Milszewski.
Aye.
Teeling.
Aye.
Gilson.
Nay.
Cott.
Aye.
Munns.
Nay.
Spears.
Nay.
Colosimo.
Nay.
Yes.
4-4?
Yes.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to appointment of American with Disability Act Coordinator. I'll entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Peter Rados as ADA Coordinator.
So moved.
Is Mr. Rados here? No, he's not. Well, he jumped at the opportunity to take this position. Any comments or questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, who did this before?
Our previous building inspector, Paul, was able.
Did Paul or Paul?
Yeah, so we didn't have one for the time that between Paul and, we never gave it to the,
We never formally appointed them, but they've been acting in that capacity.
Right.
It's a standard code official assignment.
roll call.
Teeling.
Aye.
Gilson.
Aye.
Cott.
Aye.
Munns.
Aye.
Spears.
Aye.
Colosimo.
Aye.
Funkhauser.
Aye.
Milszewski.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next item under Mayor's report is another informational item. It is an update from the Recreation Facility Alternatives Ad Hoc Committee. And I will turn it over to Mr. Funkhauser, who chairs that committee.
All right, quick update on this. The Recreation Facility Alternatives Ad Hoc Committee met for the third time on February 13th. Background on this, the mayor directed this committee to be formed to determine what other options existed beyond Plan B, the purchase of the rec center. The committee also allowed the public additional opportunities to speak and discuss the alternatives. Collectively, there were only 3 residents that attended the meetings, period. The committee consisted of 3 council members, 2 park board members. Concluding those meetings, I'm here presenting this. We have the chart in our packet. During that last meeting, the committee solidified 4 alternatives, including pros and cons regarding each. The materials in the packet state that I will present recommendations. Actually, I want to clarify that the committee did not make a recommendation on any of the 4 alternatives. Rather, we're providing those alternatives to the council as a tool in the decision of whether or not to acquire the rec center. After the final meeting of the ad hoc committee, the findings for the committee were reviewed at park board. At that time, they did make a recommendation. Their recommendations, I'll just go through them real quick with their comments. A, purchase, which was the most logical, they said, based on price point. The second is C, new building. Their main concern that's 2 to 4 times more costly. Next is D, the school partnership. The issues were the cost requires more tax dollars, shared square footage, and potential scheduling conflicts. Their least likely option was leasing other options, but they did want to make it very clear that it was a resounding purchase option is what they were looking for on that one. But in the chart, options A, B, C, and D, A being the rec center purchase, you can see the pros there being the fact that it already has a membership base. It's It's near new budget neutral, no initial outlay, location, and it goes on for the pros, the cons. They were identified as age, location meaning that it's a prime piece of property. There's a deal to be negotiated. We don't know the price on it yet. We're losing taxes and we're locked in there. The next option was leasing new space, coming at a cost of $12 to $20 a square foot. That was based on information Lynn Dubicek provided to us in one of our committee meetings. Pros on this was we would be able to have a blank space, a brand new custom location, flexibility, 1 or 2 year leases, and the timing is a pro because we can work with that. Cons, this is a big list. Limited uses, loss of services, possible customer base problems, may not have parking, equipment outlay, no ownership, size of available spaces, lack of local options, since some of the places we had considered previously had been taken off the market. Unknown budget, and we would then possibly be competing with the existing, or what would revert back as Route 40, or Club 47. So that's an extensive con on that one, hence one of the least likely options. The third option, which was C, building new. Staff was able to ascertain some information on facilities, proposals that have been put out there by architects and some costs, so that's where those numbers come from. Pros on this are the fact that there's city land available. We wouldn't have to acquire land. Gives us an ultimate blank canvas, limited maintenance since it's a new building. That is something you wouldn't have. And a couple of one of the stretches was excitement, but without any new building, new opportunity, there is some excitement there. And then also a pro is we would have ownership in a facility. Cons, it's very expensive. Land, building, equipment. New customer base would have to be developed. We may not be able to bring those over from the existing facility. Time frame, the time it would take to build a facility may not jive well with our existing lease. We may have an overlap, but we're going to have to come up with a interim solution. Bonding, referendum, operational budget, and again, competition with Club 47. D, that's our last option, school partnership. Pros were that it was the best use of tax dollars. It's a community partnership. In some instances, we'd be getting more facility for less money, or less city money, I should say. Could potentially increase customer base with the joint use there. Limited maintenance budget since it would be shared. Excitement, and there's also some renewed community trust on this one. Cons, timing. We're not quite sure what's going to happen with the school with their build out of their field house. That's where this is all contingent on. We don't know where they're at yet. They're selecting architects. I was at the school board meeting last night. I know that they've narrowed that down, but they're still at the point of selecting architects. It's also the fact we're involving another entity, scheduling intergovernmental problems, unknown operational budget, potential referendum again, competing with Club 47. And then options B, C, and D, one issue that was pointed out by staff is that this opens up a blank checkbook need, more or less. When we stepped into the rec center, we had what we thought was a relatively good idea of the finances. We're stepping into an issue that's even greater than that if we were to go with any of those three, due to the fact that we don't exactly know what to expect. We don't know how many customers would come with us to a new facility, a new leased facility, or a school partnership facility. So those are the options that were developed out of the committee, and it's there for the rest of the council to mull over as we're looking at our decision on the rec center.
Thank you, Chris. And again, this is just an update. We'll have plenty of time to debate it if and when a purchase agreement for rec center comes forward. Next on the agenda is, we'll hold off the consent agenda. We'll move to Public Works Committee report. George, you want to read them or you want me to? Well, first is I'll entertain a motion for a resolution to become a U.S. EPA Water Sense promotional partner and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So moved.
Second.
That's number 7 on the consent agenda. Yes, sir.
I pulled it just for two reasons. One, on the resolution itself, water sense is misspelled. And the other question I had was, it's my understanding this program, I guess you might be able to help me out here on this. Two things. One, this generally applies to fixtures and that inside the home type products, and that those products cannot be sole source. Is that correct? Anybody know this answer?
I don't.
Yeah.
Sole source more way first.
Meaning, if someone has a product that doesn't have competition, meaning...
I think this is more like an Energy Star. It's more a promotional, educational tool.
Okay, because I know there's certain products that are approved through this, Eric, and I know, from what I understand, they're indoor type products.
Correct.
And I guess I was told, and I just wanted to double check, those products that are approved through this program cannot be a sole source type product, and I don't know if that's the case or not. Just had some questions before.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I think this is more, like I said, this is more educational and public relations to get this word out.
Yeah, it's a great program. I supported it. The other thing I had, we talk about these rebates. How does that rebate work? Does anybody know?
That would be through the EPA.
Does the EPA rebate?
That I don't know the specifics of, but I believe it's all done through the EPA. We are just almost like a tool to say that we support this.
Okay. Okay, so no rebates will be coming back through the city. It'll all be done through another entity.
Correct.
Okay.
To my knowledge.
Okay. Thank you.
Any comments or questions on the water sense? Roll call, please.
Teeling.
Aye.
Gilson.
Aye.
Pat.
Aye.
Munns.
Aye.
Spears.
Aye.
Colosimo.
Aye.
Funkhauser.
Aye.
Wilczewski. Aye. Motion passes.
Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve Kendall Marketplace improvements, change order number 2, and authorize an increase in the amount not to exceed $20,000, and authorize the mayor to execute.
Second.
Questions on this one?
Okay, Gary, I pulled this one as well, and I apologize being my absence at the last Public Works Committee meeting. I have some questions about this I wanted to ask before we approve or go forward with it. Originally, when this came to Public Works, we were told that we asked Wilkinson not to seed until the spring, and that was just a decision that we made. No one had mentioned any sort of a change order in baseball diamond plans. And now this, I see, has basically a baseball field, and I want to know, number one, was that always, was there always a baseball field park site plans that we knew of?
When the park was designed, probably 2006, it was actually, it abuts to Cannonball Ridge, and so that when we try to join the parks together so we can offer more facilities at one location. So the baseball design is actually, we have plans from Shopee that have the baseball design on the one hand and then the existing park on the other. So it has been designed that way, and that's how it was approved by Park Board to be built. So
My follow-up question to that is, if we knew about it, then why didn't we bid it out that way originally when we bid this project out instead of coming afterwards with the change order?
it was, I know that we had discussed it with Brad, and at that time, he wasn't sure if we could do that. I believe they were already in the process of bidding out the work, so we couldn't change it at that time. And we later met as staff, and Brad said, sure, we can look at it, and we proceeded with it at that time. So it is, something that we didn't do initially, but that when it's going to happen sooner or later. The funds are available now. It's not our funds. It's a good time for us to actually do the improvement as planned.
Okay, and then piggybacking on what you just said, Laura, we're using $20,000 of money out of the letter of credit for this project. And my understanding of a letter of credit is basically those funds are used for future public infrastructure improvements. upgrades, fees, that sort of thing. And it's also my understanding, you're shaking your head no.
No, this is a project fund. We actually collected all of the funds in cash as a result of the SSAs and released all the letter of credit.
We did, Kathy, but I think when we do a park site, the developer that comes in pays for that. We're not taking money out of our letter of credit to do that ahead of time.
There isn't a letter of credit. There is a project fund which will cover all these expenses.
Okay, the project fund.
Yeah, there was a letter of credit at one time, but before the foreclosure occurred, we resolved all of that and actually took the proceeds from some special service area bonds that they're responsible for. We created a project fund so that we can be assured the money is sitting there and our finance director has authority to draw down on any cost related to it. So we're protected on this.
I understand there was a letter of credit and we took those funds and now we have a project fund. 6 in one, half dozen the other. It's a project fund now, but why would we want to take $20,000 out of that project fund that we could potentially use later on for something that may have to be done there, because this could sit for a substantial amount of time in the future without a developer, that $20,000 we may have to use. Why would we take that now and sink it into a baseball diamond and a sledding hill when that would be something that a developer would pay for when they come in?
Simple answer is that you have different specifications, different land specifications. You can tell the developer as part of the plat to do a different grading plan. So to me, it seems like this is more a matter of fact of the developer doesn't exist anymore, and we missed our own bidding deadline to be able to get this particular type of grading plan in there, and then we figured it out after the fact. So, this would have been something that on site we would have given the developer a grading plan for the site and said we need a sled hill and we need this area to be clay, rather than it being whatever the standard slope is for a park site and grass.
And to add to that, we typically follow that process, and then we take ownership and we start mowing it and maintaining it immediately, which is a benefit for the developer and it's a benefit for us. If not, we make that developer maintain that area for 3 years until there's a good stand of grass. If they do it to the original plans, we come back later and do the improvement anyway. So at this point, it's usually a win-win for the developer and the city, and that's why we work with them, but we didn't have the option because there's no developer.
And we don't want to play it safe and wait and keep that $20,000 in our project fund until we get a developer that will pay for that?
No.
Okay.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Munns,
Aye.
Spears,
Aye.
Colosimo,
Aye.
Funkhauser,
Aye.
Olszewski,
Aye.
Tinley,
Aye.
Gilson,
Nay.
Pat.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next is Route 47 improvements, Route 71 to Caton Farm Road. I will entertain a motion to authorize staff to send a response to IDOT as presented in the memo from EEI engineer Brad Sanderson dated February 16, 2012.
So moved.
Gentlemen, questions on this one? Gentlemen first.
Thank you. Bear with me here, Gary. I had quite a few questions. Once again, I was not at the Public Works meeting, so apologize if these were answered in committee, but I want to be sure before I take a vote, I understand it better. Number one, what's the ramifications for denying or approving this now related to future obligations for the city when it comes to the sidewalk placement south of Serrano's?
Well, we're in beginning of phase one, so based on our past history, this is kind of the first step where you tell IDOT what your plans show, what you want, and then they'll come to us at the end of the middle of phase two for a letter of commitment. So knowing their timeline on this, we're probably 3 or 4 years off from that, probably, middle of phase two.
Yeah, they don't really have a commitment for phase 2 yet, but I'd say in the next 2 to 4 years probably.
Okay, so they don't have funding for phase 2.
Not that it'll work, right?
Okay, and typically direction has been that as long as we notify them by the end of phase 1, or before phase 2, that there has not been any request for reimbursement of funds on their behalf? Because they haven't actually started doing the design.
Correct, they have not.
So do we have to do this now if they haven't begun doing any engineering for this?
Yes, they're going to do public hearings, they're going to start doing design plans, they're going to prep basically documents for a letter of commitment down the road. And so they're asking now for our direction on where we would like sidewalks, bike paths, lighting, etc.
Okay. What's the city's and staff's reasoning for denying sidewalks to the south side of my ward via a major commercial area versus approving a bike path?
Part of the reasoning is there is a county parcel that would have to cross, so the county would also have to agree to continue the sidewalk. And then our actual connection is via the bike trail up to 71 and then over to that commercial area. That way you're not crossing a major road without any sort of pedestrian safety. And we already have part of it existing, so it's saving the city money because that trail connection from Windhead Bridge up through Raintree by Country Hills and over on 71, which is already approved, is mostly funded or existing.
If and when we were to ever develop that area, or if that area were to be developed, would there be potential for that developer to put in sidewalk then, or if we deny this now, it's a done deal?
This is just saying we don't want it included in this site. If somebody were to come and develop, we would actually require them to
Good.
put
So
sidewalks
there
across
will
the
be sidewalk there
if it's developed.
If it's developed. Good.
On the city.
On the city portion.
Good. As long as, because I think if it is developed, we need sidewalks there. Second question I had was on item number 3, which is the school district's projection for new schools. How is that relevant to all this? Just from my own knowledge.
Traffic management. With the new high school in the south of 71, that would put a huge demand on traffic during the peak hours. So that's why they have that curiosity on it.
So to change the way they do turn lanes or
perhaps
right away.
Right away. How about the lighting? Where is that proposed lighting?
According to state policy, you are to provide, or as recommended, you provide lighting at any transitional areas. They are transitioning from an urban section to a rural section around the Mench Road. And then anywhere there is a raised median, which would be from Ament all the way south to Caden Farm, at least according to the guidelines in Springfield, you would have to provide lighting along that stretch as well. So it's fairly significant amount of lighting. We took a look at it, developed some real rough cost estimates, and it's to the tune of over $1 million worth of lighting.
So it's all the raised medians and that the lighting. We're only talking about Ament Road. There's no other areas that we're denying.
From Ament Road south to
Caden Farm,
the limits of this project.
And then the last question I had was on the ditch versus the storm sewer. Where is the proposed open ditch storm sewer plan?
No plans. No plans. Detailed plans have been provided. They are proposing an urban section from Route 71 down to Ament, so that's your curb and gutter. So you will have structures along the roadway, and then storm sewers carrying the stormwater to and from. They were generally looking for whether or not the city would be interested in open ditches and eliminating storm sewers where possible. And just a general statement. There's no detailed plans at this point.
In the open ditch versus the storm sewer, if we obviously said that we were more interested in the storm sewer, that's obviously a bigger cost to us. So we're at this time electing not to do that cost.
Maintenance.
Future
maintenance. Cost of maintenance. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Rose.
I have a question on item number 4. Should we be a little more specific on the proposed lighting should be kept to a minimum?
That will be more or less the intersections. I would say like at Ament Road and at Walker Road and at Caden Farm. And the main thrust of this response was the fact of the median lighting. It was a tremendous cost, and it would be our cost to bear not only the installation, but electricity.
But what if IDOT interprets that as the lighting that they originally wanted? I mean, should we be specific so for the city's sake?
Sure, we could add some additional text to clear that up, sure.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
The motion to amend it? Yeah, but she wanted some additional amendment, right?
So then, Joan, would you permit a motion to approve this ad with changes as suggested?
Anyone else? Okay, so we're voting on a motion to approve this letter and with the requested changes. Roll call, please.
So is it a motion or
No.
is it a motion? Spears?
Aye.
Colosimo?
Aye.
Funkhauser?
Aye.
Olszewski?
Aye.
Teeling?
Aye.
Gilson?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Munns?
Aye. We have no Economic Development Committee report, no Public Safety Committee report, no Admin Committee report. Park Board, I will entertain a motion to award a base bid for the Wingtree Park B shared use path paving to Briggs Paving in an amount not to exceed $15,108.24. So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions on this one? I see we're doing all permeable pavers
In the park.
in the parking area. Very nice. Any comments or questions?
Bear with me here. What item are on here?
Park Board. Raintree Park paving bid award. Roll call, please.
Munns?
Aye.
Spears?
Aye.
Colosimo?
Aye.
Funkhauser?
Aye.
Olszewski?
Aye.
Teeling?
Aye.
Gilson?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye. Do we have a planning commission report?
No report.
CBA?
No report.
No city council report. City clerk's report?
No report.
City treasurer's report. Community and liaison reports. Yes, Ms. Pierce.
Sorry, I have one.
Don't have a problem.
I recently attended the CANCOM Executive Board meeting, and the board approved the purchase of 10 computer workstations, 70 displays, and 30 mice. These computer workstations will be used as new CAD workstations in the lower level. The existing workstations are now 5 years old and beginning to see some minor problems. The existing workstation in CANCOM will be cleaned up and used in less critical roles. The board approved a quote received from CDW-G not to exceed $27,000. Several years ago, CANCOM installed busy light displays at each console to provide a visual indication of when a telecommunicator is on the phone, on the radio, has received a fire dispatch, or is away from their position. With the expansion of the lower level, CANCOM needs to purchase an additional 4 sets of busy light display hardware. The board approved a quote from Mercury Systems of Naperville, who supplied the current displays. The quote is in the amount of $3,608. Previously, the CANCOM Executive Board approved $2.334 million in capital projects. Funding for these projects is to come from the Reserve Equipment Fund, which at the time these projects were approved contained $2.2 million. Several of these projects are underway, and it will be several months before the bulk of the money is needed to pay for these projects. Additionally, several of these projects are projected to come in under budget. The current fund balance in the surcharge budget is $616 or $616,738. There are no significant expenses coming from this budget in the next couple of months. In order to completely fund the anticipated needs to date in the Capital Equipment Fund, Director Ferris recommended transferring an additional $200,000 from the surcharge budget into the capital equipment reserve fund. This transfer is a portion of the amount due to be transferred into the capital equipment fund this fiscal year. Director Ferris discussed the alarm monitoring contract that will expire on March 13th. Currently, KenCom only monitors 45 alarms. This number has significantly been reduced in the last year as more customers have moved to other central station alarm monitoring points. Most of the remaining buildings on their alarm board are public buildings and a few banks. It costs KenCom more money to operate the alarm board than it generates in revenue. After extensive discussion by the board agreed to end the contract and give immediate notice to the remaining customers. Total calls for all departments for the month of January were 9,401 calls. Total 911 calls were 2,986. Wireless 911 statistics for the month of January 2012 represent 74% of all 911 calls received. And the board also approved payment of the operations bills in the amount of $7,194.16 for the month of February, and approved surcharge bills in the amount of $29,375.22. And then the board was also informed Kendall County was going to pay for the building, the renovation downstairs where they're moving KenCom. However, they discovered that they can't give KenCom the money. What they did is create a lease, and the building is going to be leased. And I did give that to the mayor right now, and our attorney, I believe, is going to be looking at that. But it's going to be a 10-year lease for the lower level, and they just, and they have some different points in here regarding their heating and air conditioning and the lease agreement. And that's all I have. Was this always interested? No. The county was going to pay for it.
The county was going to allow KenCom to use the basement for free. Now they're going to be paying $25,000 and $100,000 a year.
That came up before, though, didn't it?
Yeah, it came up before as far as the meetings that I went to in Barton, be a little clear on that one.
There was always discussion of, the type of rental payment. I didn't know whether it was going to come about in that manner or not.
No, I understood it was going to be the cost of utilities, but I always heard this stuff.
Well, I believe they're going to now pay for the utilities, and actually, these are probably the discussion at the meetings that Yorkville was not a part of. Right. So, I mean, I don't know what they discussed previously.
They're on second draft, and you just didn't.
Yeah.
Any other community liaison reports, George?
The YBSD met last week, as most people may know, but just to report, and executed a special meeting to execute the Blackberry Dam removal. So they have signed that agreement with the IDNR, and they are executing that agreement to remove the Blackberry Dam without our participation. I did want to read an email. I'm not sure he copied everybody here or not, but I think it says a lot as to the reasoning, the logic behind our vote not to enter into the agreement to remove the Blackberry Dam on our end. It says, Alderman of Yorkville, I'm not saying this to bore you, and I also realize it is too late. It is too late to stop the wasteful spending of IDNR funds for the Blackberry Creek Dam. But I want you to know I believe you did the right thing in voting against the spending. This is a long but good article about the state of the IDNR and the way our state wastes the resources of the taxpayers' dollars without the average Joe even understanding. Our state is in serious trouble that we may never get out of. The Blackberry Dam is just a small piece in and then there's an article and it basically says opinion, DNR Fisheries Department in a world of hurt. Mike Conlon, who retired as head of the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, Office of the Resource Conservation in 2009, gave this speech to the Illinois American Fisheries Society meeting at Starved Rock State Park Lodge on February 22nd. First of all, let me state the prediction is difficult, especially for the future. I've been around the Illinois fisheries scene for nearly 5 decades, yet as I stand here today, there are only 2 things that I know for sure. The first is that the hip boots leak only in cold water. The second is the Division of Fisheries is in a world of hurt. On the surface, the Illinois DNR's Division of Fisheries appears to be dead in the water. Consider that nearly half of the counties of the state have no coverage by a district fishery biologist. They are at half staff on a Lake Michigan program. The division is one retirement away from having no one assigned to the Mississippi River program. The urban fishing program will shrink to nothing. 1 person after a key upcoming retirement. There is no longer any reservoir fishery management program. Shelbyville, Carlisle, Wren. There are only 11 presently instead of 24 to produce fish at Jake Wolf Fish Hatchery. And half staff or less at Little Grassy and LaSalle hatcheries as well. Over $18 million is needed in basic maintenance and upgrading within the now 30-year-old hatchery system at Jake Wolf, Little Grassy, and LaSalle hatcheries. The Division of Fisheries has but 1 person under the age of 40. What about the rest of the DNR? Pretty much the same story, really. Heading into the late 1990s, the DNR staff numbered around 2,200. Today, that number has dramatically fallen to 1,100 plus, with the retirement of many more baby boomers close at hand. At the same time, that number of DNR worker bees has fallen to 50%. The number of DNR top executive staff has increased substantially. When the workforce numbered 2,200, there was a director and 2 deputy directors. Today, with only 1,100 employees, there's a director, assistant director, and 3 deputy directors, a chief of staff, an assistant to the director, and a plethora of office directors. Dr. Willard Kilmstra in 1979 once observed that patronage. He gave several bullet points, tends to foster non-professionalism, permits inefficient use of scarce dollars, hampers the role of leadership, inhibits freedom to address issues honestly and openly, tends to negate long-range planning based on biological principles, creates an atmosphere of insecurity, and promotes pot-licking in the interest of personal survival. I would just add that, in my view, it's criminal that a fat executive staff is thriving and causing in part the occurrence of a dangerously lean field staff. Everyone realizes the amount of general revenue funds available for state government has shrunk dramatically in recent years. But why are the core functions and responsibilities of the DNR, conservation and management of wildlife and aquatic resources, and enforcement of laws protecting such, also so anemic, funding-wise? After all, isn't the Wildlife and Fish Fund, where all hunting and fishing licenses income is deposited, a special fund which can only be utilized for funding the core functions of the DNR? Guess again, in 2005, the 25-year annual payment of $1.4 million a year to pay the expansion of the fish hatchery system was completed, although an additional $1.4 million of the fees anglers pay annually for fishing licenses was now available for other division of fishery needs. Fisheries did not receive 1 penny of this money. Resident fishing license fees were increased in 2010 from $12.50 to $14.50. But none of the monies generated from the increase went to the Division of Fisheries. It's simply a matter of diversion. As general revenue monies began to dry up the past decade, monies from the Wildlife and Fish Fund were directed toward programs that had not historically been utilized for. 7 years ago, there was $45 million balance in the Wildlife and Fish Fund. Today, there is virtually 0 balance, with negative balance just on the horizon. Why does the director of DNR allow that? Well, the sad fact is that the director is really not the director at all. To truly manage, one must have control of the budget and personnel. The director of DNR, in actuality, controls neither one. The budget and personnel directors within the DNR answer not to the DNR director, but rather to the Governor's Office of Management and Budget and the Department of Central Management Services, respectively. What this all adds up to is that those really in charge of the DNR haven't a clue regarding what conservation of aquatic wildlife, natural heritage, and forest resources consists of, or why it is such critical importance. The current ineptitude exhibited within the executive branch surely has no equal with state government. Right? Wrong. One only has to look to the legislative branch. It seems that the defining characteristic of legislators these days is that they don't know how to play well with others. They are so busy fighting amongst themselves and concentrating on getting reelected that they are incapable of addressing the heterogeneous problems which exist in the executive branch of our government. So back to the initial question, is there any hope? And it goes on, you know, I guess I don't want to read the whole thing, but basically, I think it's a pretty good article. Did everybody get a copy here of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we turned down the dam removal on this side. There was no reason why we had to enter into an agreement to obligate ourselves to maintaining and potentially revamping and locking ourselves into an agreement that we've never been locked into before. Obviously, the YBSD went forward without us anyway, and we weren't locked into any sort of an obligation. I think it was a good move on the city's part, so I thank everybody for that vote.
Anyone else with liaison reports, community reports? Yes, Chris.
Two quick ones. The 23rd February, I attended the Aurora Area Convention and Business Bureau, the first meeting that I attended. Good meeting. It's good to meet everybody that was in there. I think this is a good opportunity for us. Very little business at that meeting. They had just launched the new brochure, and so that's out. Those have been are in the process of being distributed. And one comment after the meeting, I had the opportunity to talk to Jeremy Dale Berman. In our discussion, I had the chance to kind of give a reason why I was there, and one of the points was that I was there to make sure we're getting our bang for our buck. And I think we'll have a good opportunity to kind of push, make sure we're getting what we should out of this organization. I think it has good potential. I don't think we've seen it yet, but hopefully with some good direction we can get some benefit for Yorkville out of this investment. So that's that. And then the large one, attended school board meeting last night. Real quick statistics of what they had. Treasurer's report, $1.8 million in revenues, $5.7 million expenses, $34.966 million in fund balance. They had significant personnel changes, several retirements, transfers, and hires. Quite a bit going on in their movements, a couple of new hires, basically athletic positions. Their big thing that they discussed were their summer school programs. They are moving forward with their high school programs that they have for summer school, creating some new challenges and new opportunities with that. Their K through 7 program is still being looked at. They haven't decided how exactly they're going to run those, so those are still moving forward until they can get some more information out of those. They discussed their flexible spending account, something that they have as an option. They're going to enact that. It is a program they have to help them flex the amount of their deductible, basically. It comes at a fee to the school district, but overall it should be a savings for everybody, and it's already part of their package. Their big thing that they did, which is a substantial increase for the school district, was their increase in their internet connection. They're increasing their speeds dramatically from 100 megabits per second to 500, so it actually speeds them up. It's a preference for them to be able to combine all their servers into one system throughout the district so that they can house all their data centrally and be able to manage it more efficiently. So that was everything. That comes at an additional cost of $1,000 a month. However, they're already paying $16,000, so it's not really a big increase in price for what they're getting back out of it. Last thing that was brought up was their superintendent's report. Dr. Wakely was very proud of the wrestling team, so was their staff and their board. They did very well down at state. Second place, Dr. Wakely's comment was they were the only private school, or that they are only second rate to a private school. They're the only public school that rated that highly, so they were very proud of that based on their competition they had. They also met with 5 architects that they selected out of 16, so they're moving forward on their plans. They have that in place. They're going to be meeting with each of those firms soon, and then they're going to narrow that down to 2 or 3, and they'll have those present to the school board with some open-ended ideas for the project of the field house and their school improvements, the increase of hallway space and classroom space. So they're looking to hopefully have by June somebody selected and moving forward with actual plans, construction plans.
Well, I want to follow up on the Visitors Bureau meeting.
Yes.
I know Chris went to that for the first time, and the chairman of that, Dale Berman, you mentioned, he is also the North Aurora Village President. So I seen him that evening at the Metro West meeting, and he was quite impressed with our Alderman Funkhauser. I believe he called him a real go-getter. Go ahead.
So my questions are, you said there were new brochures are out.
Yes.
How are they distributed? Like, how are people in Yorkville to get their hands on those? Or where do they put these? I haven't seen one in a long time.
Part of that, I know Mary Unterberger had been part of that. She had distributed a lot of those, but that was through Hometown Hello, and so that was distributed to newer residents. The City Hall has some, but this is something that we need to deal with, is how do we push this agenda. They're working on a revised website, which will help to improve their visibility and market themselves online. Yes, the brochures, that is something that is an issue. How do you get that out there? And at this point, I don't have a solid solution on that, but it is something we do need to address.
I represent one of the mentioned visitors bureaus. Those are actually never really given to the residents. They're put in the hotels and put in places to tell them about us, more them. So I'm not surprised they do.
I have two very quick items. I wanted to announce that 2 of my sons and I have answered the call. We've answered the call to be shavees. We have teamed up to have our heads shaved.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. We are going to stand in solidarity with kids fighting cancer, but more importantly, to raise money to find cures. This is the St. Baldrick's fundraiser. It's going to be March 17th on St. Patrick's Day at Rosati's Pizza. And if you don't know about St. Baldrick's, their mission statement is, the St. Baldrick's Foundation is a volunteer-driven charity committed to funding the most promising research to find cures for childhood cancers and give survivors long and healthy lives. So I'd like to encourage all of you to support us with a donation for the St. Baldrick's Foundation. This volunteer-driven charity funds more childhood cancer research grants than any organization except the U.S. government. Our team is Team Mayor G, and you can donate online at stbaldricks.org. You can also register to be a shavee yourself.
That's okay. You think it's going to go back?
I'm hoping it goes.
It goes back quicker if you cut it.
Yes. Carlo?
I believe County Board candidate Amy Sessage is volunteering.
I was thinking George, but he's close enough already. So.
Yeah. It doesn't go back quicker, I promise.
You'd be even more intimidating, Paul. Carlo, Paul's in bow tie. There you go.
Are you doing
So,
I'm
anyway,
writing a check to the mayor.
I encourage you all to attend.
Team Mayor G?
Team Mayor G. Yes. Next is, I mentioned before, my wife is very involved with Meals on Wheels. During March, they have a campaign called March for Meals. There's an annual campaign designed to raise awareness of senior hunger and encourage action at the local level. Senior nutrition programs across the United States promote March for Wheels in their communities through public events, partnerships with the local businesses, volunteer recruitment efforts, and fundraising initiatives. Our local Meals on Wheels is doing their own little event where you can pledge so many, like a couple cents per step that you take in March, a penny a step for a certain section of March to help raise money. They also are taking flat donations. For $9, you can sponsor a senior for a day. That's pretty much, if you go out to lunch for a day, that's what it costs. So $9.58 to feed a homebound senior in Kendall County for one day. Or you can sponsor a week. You and your company will feed a frail, homebound, needy senior in Kendall County for a week for only $45. If you'd like to sponsor for a month, it's $180. You will feed a frail, homebound, needy senior in Kendall County for a month. So I encourage everyone to partake in that. For more information, you can contact Louise at Meals on Wheels. Their number is 553-2316. They also have a Mayors for Meals campaign, a component of March for Meals that utilizes the involvement of local mayors. So I'll be partaking in that on Wednesday, March 21st. So get the word out. Very good cause, both of them. Get the word out and support those causes.
What time do you graduate?
Starts at 5. My jeans start at 5:03. St. Patrick's Day, 5 o'clock with us. This is go there now. Sure, doing will be there for the video. Okay, next, where are we? Budget presentation. Oh, staff reports. Any staff reports?
No report.
Presentations, fiscal year 2013 budget presentation. Take it away, Mr. Olson.
Bear with me for a second.
They're called Mohawk.
All right, you got 2 minutes.
I think I've got less than that, actually. Okay. And I'm going to leave the lights on. I'm not sure which ones turn off which. So as an experiment with it, we'll try to just... actually, if you want to experiment with it, there's a power panel right on the other side. There's only like 5 of them that aren't taped. Okay. We'll breeze past these. Everybody has seen tonight's schedule. We know what we're talking about. Big picture review. We know it's in a packet. So 2 funds tonight. General fund and citywide capital. General fund is everything you do as a city. Every operational department except generally water, sewer, parks and recreation. So that's what all of your expenses are. Your revenues are everything you collect as a city, not related to water, sewer, parks and recreation again. State taxes, property taxes, sales taxes, etc. So right into the general fund. A couple things I want to point out. This is the overview of the entire general fund. So all these expenditures contain all those departments I talked about. In general, you've got a surplus expected in fiscal year 13 and 14, which is good news, obviously. We said we wanted to sock away money, gets us up to about 12% fund balance in fiscal year 14, and then we've got some decisions and some things to watch in the years thereafter. We're not necessarily recommending this as a deficit budget. What we've done 5 years out is we've said all expenses are remaining equal, and our revenue projections are relatively conservative, only 1 or 2% for general revenue. So if the economy doesn't get better, if we show no growth, if we don't really change anything we're doing, this is what we can expect over the next 5 years if we don't make any other decisions. In general, we've got tax revenues going up, but that's really only due to projections. Okay, that's right here, revenues. Small projections and really the infusion of the non-home rule sales tax. The general fund revenue is included there. Your salaries are going up overall for all city departments. That's only because we are planning to hire basically a police officer per year for the next 5 years. Again, that's something you can review mid-year depending on how your budget numbers come in. Benefits are also going up each year, year after year, just because we're budgeting for a 10% increase overall. We've had 30%, 20%, sometimes 10%. Supplies in general are only going up because those are commodities, energy, gasoline. We're assuming 5 or 7.5 or sometimes 10% increases in those. And really your other financing uses down here are just your transfers in and out. We'll get into those. Okay. So this is probably the most important page, in my opinion, of the entire budget. Actually, there's 2 pages. Your general fund revenues, because those are the things really that we're taking an educated guess on for everything we do in the city. Okay. So I want to take some time and just highlight these, and then we can hopefully move forward the next couple slides. So 1, property taxes, right off the top. Corporate levy, it's one of your biggest revenue sources. $2.2 million, again, it's got nothing to do with library. This is only the money that comes into the general fund. So we are projecting an increase allowed under the property tax cap each year for the next 5 years. So if you adopt this budget, that's what we're forecasting. So Whether or not this number actually comes to fruition is a different story. I think we put 1.5% CPI. Could be 5 years, some years. 2 years ago it was 0.1%. And then you've got new growth factored into that. So it is variable. But from a policy decision standpoint, we're saying levy the maximum amount of the tax cap because you're a growing community, and that's what this shows here. Okay. Right below that, I do need to point out that even with this increase here, because of your debt obligations that are on property taxes, City Council has already adopted the schedule. It shows that property taxes on the whole for the city are actually going to decrease 1.5% to 2% each year for the next 3 or 4 years. So even with this increase, we are projecting an overall decrease. Right below that, another important thing with property taxes is the police pension. We've talked about being able to fund that to the amount the actuary sets each year. It says this is what you need to be at in order to fund your police pension system down the road. The target here is fiscal year 15, I believe, at $525,000. That's the year that if we don't fund it, the state is going to basically take our other revenue sources to be able to pay for that police pension obligation. So we're showing that we're going to be able to meet this without an issue. You do need to know, though, that this will take over a larger and larger percentage of your entire property tax base eventually, until hopefully we're a growing community 30 or 40 years from now. That'll probably be your entire property tax levy. That's just what happens in growing communities when they turn into growing communities. Sales tax, right below that. This is your biggest revenue source on the whole. We did project a decrease from 12 to 13 because of ProBuild closing. Okay, it's still unknown at this point. We have 2 sales tax months in. We talked about it at the admin committee in, I believe it's October and November. October is when they announced. November, we know that they were still operating and processing sales. We don't know if people were actually paying sales and then thus generating sales taxes. But we did notice a pretty significant decrease outside of our financial estimates in sales tax for those 2 months. So it is something to watch. Right below that is non-home rule sales tax. Again, this is an educated guess. We don't know what the makeup of our community is as far as non-home rule sales tax versus sales taxes, because there's different things that do not apply for a non-home rule sales tax that you have to pay sales tax on. Rob, do you know what they are off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's automobiles, food.
Okay, automobiles and food, so thank you. In general, though, municipalities that have this will see about a 66% ratio of non-home rule sales tax to sales tax, which is what we budgeted here. Actually, I think we were a little bit less than that. There are communities where it's as high as 75 or 80%. So a small fluctuation in our estimates here could be an additional $100,000 to $200,000 that we can put towards road resurfacing each year, which would be a good thing. Below that, business district sales tax. If you want an idea of what every business together in Kendall Marketplace is doing, this is the line item to look at. And it is scrolling right here. This is rebated in full to pay off the bonds and the project of Kendall Marketplace. So as this number goes up and down, we have a pretty good idea of what's happening to the businesses in Kendall Marketplace. So it's very important to track that. After that, you've got 3 of them. I'm going to point them out. Personal property replacement tax, state income tax, and the local use tax. Okay, they're all right about in this area here. These are state pass-throughs, or at least they're supposed to be by state constitution. In the most recent budget, if you recall, the governor, or the state legislature, siphoned off 1% of our personal property replacement taxes to pay for the regional superintendents in the entire state. Okay, fortunately for us, as a municipality, it only, I think we lost like $100 or $16 on it. So, it's negligible to its impact. But it sets up a dangerous precedent that if the state ever says we're going to start siphoning income tax or we're going to reduce your percentage, a swing on $1.3 million of revenue could be a sizable, could be a sizable hit to our budget. So that's something to watch. You've got to make sure that we lobby our state legislatures when we hear that they're going to be taking away local revenue. Pari-mutuel tax. Talked about this in the narrative. It closed in December, so we won't be getting any more of that after this. Building permits. Again, this is something you want to watch, mid to bottom of the page. This revenue source is only the cost of offsetting the cost of our building permit clerk, our code official, and inspections. Everything else that we get in from building permits is being put in the citywide capital, and we'll show that when we get there. Similar thing to development fees. These are one-time revenues being generated really to pay for our costs of providing subdivision inspections in the future. There may be opportunities where somebody pays, let's say, $100,000, and it only costs us $10,000 in the future to be able to provide those inspections. So we could get a benefit from that, and we have in the past, but it really depends for each subdivision. Subdivisions require more inspections than others. Some of them are going to take longer to build. So instead of leaving this in your operating budget, we put it in the citywide capital budget, and then that's something that we have to monitor and make sure that we have enough money to be able to offset those inspections at a later date. Finally, on this page is the garbage surcharge. And as we get into the expenses, you'll see where the senior garbage subsidy is covered. Okay, so on to the second most important page, really it's all part of one. The two things that I want to point out on this page, this is the second half of your general fund revenues, is your transfer from land cash, policy decision here. We decided to cease the transfer from land cash to the general fund to pay for salaries. So we're not proposing to do that any year for the next 5 years. And the second is we've eliminated the transfer from water and sewer because we're coding the health insurance benefits out of those particular funds. So no net impact there. It's just when you look at it, you might look at it and think it's a revenue. Okay, moving forward. In general, all of your departments, these are on your expense sides. No salary increases projected for the next 5 years. I'll get into this a little bit later on why I think it's probably smart at some point or another maybe to rethink that. But in general, each 1% of salary increases that you want to give an employee is going to cost the city about $50,000. And remember, that's going to compound. So you give somebody a 1% raise this year, next year it costs us $100,000 to be able to maintain it. So just something to think about if you're doing that. All benefit expenses are coded out of each department. So you're going to see expense increases in each department. Generally, we're not proposing to add anything new. We just shifted costs around to be able to say easily how much does it cost to run our police department, our streets department, etc. Energy and gasoline, I talked about copier costs are coded out of each department. So instead of finance, they're out of the individual departments. Let's get into the individual departments. Again, administration. Right off the bat. Salary, the only change here is a coding change related to the reassignment of Laura into Parks and Recreation from Community Development, and then my salary coming back here. You've got the health insurance increase. Again, we assume 10% per year, so that's why benefits are going up. And then contractual services, again, and supplies. Pretty much throughout all departments, you're going to see that's your energy and gasoline costs. Okay. This is your admin detail page. So this is the administration department. Changes that we're proposing for fiscal year 13 from 12. We are showing, we broke out the elected officials' health insurance and the staff health insurance just because we break out the salaries for elected officials and administration employees there too. So clearly labeled right there for your review. The IML conference is added back in. You did take it out last year. Again, it's something that we recommend everybody do. I went to it last year, saw some value in it. Obviously, we hadn't been to it in a few years, so you got to re-review it every year. So that is in there. That's right here in training, conferences, travel, meals, and lodging. A new line item, small, $500 for filing fees. That's just kind of a recoding of another line item, and that's really just related to anything from the county. Professional services did go up slightly. We talked about this at admin. Here it is, from about 11 to 20. That's going to be your cost of minute takers, video, and a few different studies that you want to do per year. So again, we're budgeting high so that we have the room to be able to do a rec center appraisal, for instance, when you need one, or other studies as they come up. The land cash appraisal is the other one that we did last year. Okay, onward to finance. Again, same things that we've talked about as far as moving codes around, so that's why benefits and supplies are going up. Into the detail on finance, got the addition of benefits. The 2 or 3 decreases that I wanted to point out here is auditing went down. We went out to bid, got a lower price, which is great. We've reduced our accounting related to the audit, so we're not having supplemental help. So that dropped from $42,000 to $40,000. And obviously the finance department, since it's not paying for the entire city's copier costs, that line item has gone down too. So again, not a savings citywide, but for this particular department, those costs went elsewhere. Community relations, real easy. We're not proposing to fund it for the next 5 years, neither for the engineering department. All of EEI's costs are coded out of somewhere else. Police department. Again, I talked about the hire. We are proposing to hire a sergeant next year and then an officer each year for the next 4 years thereafter. So that's when salaries go up. And any contractual supply increases in the detail for the police department are going to be solely related to testing and hiring each year for those officers. So if you pull that out, those costs will go down. Or if you increase them, the costs will go up, obviously. And there is one for radio purchases, which is on this next page after this one here. This is the second page of expenses. There's a narrow banding requirement. Basically, our old radio is going to be obsolete next year, so they have to spend some extra money to be able to have radios that work. Community development. There is a dip in fiscal year 12 due to staff changes. We switched code officials. The new code official is at a different price than the current one. And then obviously there was a vacancy there which saves some money. So into the detail here for community development. The one is contractual inspections are going to go down because our new code official will do plumbing inspections. On to public works, which is really just streets. There is one change here in the supplies. This is the aggregate total again. This one actually went down, even though we're projecting an increase in gas costs, because the streets department used to pay for all the gas costs in the entire city. So we figured out that at the gas station, we can pretty much tell the individual gas stations which department the expense needs to be coded to, and then somebody signs for it, and they do the coding for it. Great. So we have a real easy way to attribute those costs to the individual departments. Property and building maintenance services up here. It looks like a new line item. It really isn't. It's just shuffled out of a broken up line item elsewhere. Repair costs are going up throughout the entire budget because we're not replacing vehicles and equipment as often as we should. Everybody talks about trucks and police cars. You know, it's also mowers, mowing equipment, chainsaws, those things. You know, eventually we're going to have to replace them because they're old. We are suspending the hanging basket program for 2 years because of Route 47. We are showing it coming back in fiscal year 15, assuming that Route 47 is done by then. And as I said earlier in the presentation, the senior garbage subsidy is broken out here for easy reference. So rather than trying to do the math calculations yourself, we just itemized it right there. Next page. This is administrative services. So again, this is your legal costs, IT, everything that doesn't belong to one particular department. This graph really isn't the best indicator of where this budget is going each year. That's because you've got a major outflow of expenses, so you reduced expenses this year because you took your benefits and put them in each department. And then next year you've got a huge influx of expenses because you've got all of the transfers coming out here. So all of your non-home rule sales tax that you take in as a revenue, you pass it through this budget and it sends it to the sewer. So it looks like this budget's spending a lot more, but really it's just a pass-through because of sales tax. Okay, a couple things on the expense page. One, an early retirement incentive right off the top. You approved that last year. This expense is for 3 employees to participate. Still open through April, only one of them has actually participated. So right now your actual expense, nobody else enrolls, is going to be about a third of that cost. The only health insurance costs out of this entire budget here are for retirees and COBRA employees. So this is essentially budget neutral because those people pay 100% of the premium. IT has its own line item now. We created that right here, $140,000 next year. More than half of that is actually going to go to the police department singularly for another project. Nothing to do with the police server. They need mobile data terminals in each one of their cars to be upgraded. That way they can access the internet, police record system, and the county systems. Special engineering services down here, we are projecting to pick that back up in fiscal year 15. Again, that's just for anything above and beyond the current EEI contract. Professional services went way down because that's where all of our IT money used to be coded out of. So this used to be our IT and GIS budget. we haven't really done much with GIS the past couple of years, so that went way down. Engineering services here is EEI's cost. That's their contract each year. And after that, you've got sales tax rebate. The big decrease from 12 to 13. You front-funded the F.E. Wheaton pro-build payout this year. That's why the expense is way over budget. But we don't have those expenses next year. So just something to point out here. For the past 10 years, we've been approving incentives and rebates for Menards to come in, and they built, 2 miles of new roadways, but it's 4 lanes, it's concrete, curb and gutters. They built a detention system. We've attracted businesses sooner than normal. We have reaped some benefit. We actually really reaped a lot of benefit from developers front funding these things, and the developers now are taking the hit. So just from some of the comments tonight, I realized that we probably went through and kind of given everybody a list of all the things that have been built by developers as a result of these incentive agreements. So it's my intent over the next couple months to try to compile something so you have an idea of, yeah, we got burned by certain developers here, but there is also a lot of things that we've been pretty successful at. So, but anyway, someday these sales tax rebates will eventually expire, and hopefully that will go down, because that is about $1 million in sales tax revenue that we're currently sharing with developers, basically to fund infrastructure that's already been built. So, contingencies all the way at the bottom, $50,000 per year, which is a little bit more than we've budgeted for each year in the past. Again, your policy is 3 to 5%, so we're way below that, but I think we're taking a step in the right direction there. Last page, your admin services department. This is all of your transfers. So your citywide capital, which we'll talk about in a second, this is funding your road resurfacing. In fiscal year 15, a portion of this is your library capital fees going to fund Game Farm Road, so they're in there. Transfer to debt service, we do have a donut hole here for 2 years because we're not going to need that. Eventually we're going to roll back property taxes, and then you will need it obviously in fiscal year 16 and 17 because that individual bond will have property tax revenues. Your sewer transfer, that is the sole cost of your Rob Royer financing each year. So your first payment is actually due in fiscal year 14. Again, another donut hole. We don't have a payment due next year, which allows us to do some of these other things. But that does pick up in fiscal year 14, so you need to transfer money out to be able to pay that. Parks and Recreation is increasing. We talked about it because of health insurance. And then the last one on there is transfer to library operations, which might seem odd because they're kind of a standalone budget. But we transferred some new costs into their department for insurance liability and unemployment insurance. And so we needed to offset that to be able to make sure their budget was neutral. So again, no impact to us or them. It just gives them a better idea of how long it takes to run their department. Citywide capital. We generate some revenues. This is not an all sales tax where eventually it will go. And then in general, this is everything not related to water, sewer, parks and rec, police cars, public works cars, etc. There's no fund balance in this fund because it's general fund funded. So all the money pretty much that's being spent here is coming straight from the general fund. And it's in the same general fund bank account. So there's no reason for this fund ever really to have a fund balance from year to year. So it's the same impact as leaving the money in the general fund. So that's why this is at zero each year. Projects to talk about. Safe routes to school next year. We've got a grant for that. Hopefully we finish it in 13. If not, it'll get rolled over in 13 and 14. ITEP is shown. It's shown currently as budget neutral. So obviously with the vote tonight, it's a budgeting decision for you whether you want to continue to show that in the budget as budget neutral or you basically want to build in a contingency. Your transfer in 15, again, I pointed out $639,000, 332 of that is your library capital fees. So it's earmarked, it's shown, we're spending the money in the appropriate place. On the expense side, road resurfacing this year and each year going forward with the non-rural sales tax, we are showing in fiscal year 13 a funding of the road study. So provided this budget gets approved, put that in there. You've already approved the contract. EEI can begin as soon as we get to go ahead for this budget. Two big things to talk about. River Road Bridge, we've got that expense. Here it is, $600,000 in fiscal year 13. We approved the intergovernmental agreement. This will be a zero here, hopefully, and $100,000 each year thereafter. So no net impact when you look at it long term, other than it gives us cash flow options each year going forward. The big project, one of the biggest ones we're going to do for the foreseeable future is Game Farm Road. We are showing here that we will be bonding it. So we are showing here that we're paying these bond payments each year with general fund dollars at the tune of about $350,000 per year each year going forward. So again, it's about a $7 million project. $2.5 million is going to be coming from the federal and the state government. And so we have to figure out a way to fund $4.5 million of that each year going forward. In my opinion, there's no other way to do that other than bonding. So you'll have to set up an alternate revenue stream. Hopefully, in a couple years from now, we'll have utility taxes, sales taxes that we'll be able to say we can pledge this as a fallback in case we can't pay for it. Otherwise, I don't see how this project gets done. The 2015 bond all the way at the bottom is the extension of this Game Farm Road project. So the revenues and expenses is a result of the bond payment itself, and then the actual, $4.5 million outlay in fiscal year 15, and then that's your debt obligation each year going forward. Okay, to take a bit of a broader view, what didn't we talk about, or what didn't I talk about in all the presentations that I've got? In the narrative, there's a more detailed list, long-term road maintenance. We're not going to know what we actually need to spend each year until we do the study. Sycamore Road, Route 34 traffic signal, we're on a temporary signal. Eventually someday that's going to break. If not, it costs us money each year to maintain, about $10,000. And there's a chance that IDOT eventually could say, you either need to put up a permanent one or take it down. So we don't have that funded. It's about $200,000, so that may be something to talk about. Beecher Center HVAC, it's 20 years ongoing for the 30? Okay. For the same HVAC unit, we've talked about it. Just to replace the HVAC unit, it's like $350,000 or $400,000. So at that point, there's actually some efficiency in being able to put in a ground unit, maybe even adding a room, running new ducts, getting an energy efficient unit, spending an additional $100,000, and you basically can maybe double the size of your current building. So Fox Hill Water and Sewer Recapture. It's compound interest. The council approved it a few years ago. You could actually make the case that you could borrow simple interest and save a future developer or the residents money over the long run. That is not due until 2023. We talked about that in the audit each year, but again, it is something that's compounding each year. Water main replacements, sewer main replacements, a lot of small projects. They affect 10 or 20 homes apiece, all of them in the older part of town. It's something that if you were running your water and sewer services business, you'd want to make sure that those replacements were folded into your operating costs each year. So something we should think about. Sewer system monitoring. We don't have a system in place that is anywhere near the same as our water system, which allows us to monitor water levels at home and contacts people via email. You can log in from home, see where the water levels are at. We don't have that for the sewer system. So right now, lift station gets blocked or goes down. Basically, somebody gets a phone call and they have to run in to figure out what's wrong. So there are some long-term cost efficiencies there. Bristol Bay intersection improvements. I don't recall there was actually a deadline in the annexation agreement, but we accepted intersection obligation improvements there. It's about $3 million over the long term. The hope is there, obviously, that we get a developer that wants to build a commercial area immediately adjacent to it, and then they pay for it. Playground replacements. I do expect that the park board is going to come to the city council at some point in the near future and say, we need to be planning for replacements. Playgrounds generally have a lifespan of 15 to 20 years. Beecher is quickly approaching that and will probably have to be taken out in the next 1 or 2 years. So the conversation is, do we want to replace it, and if so, how much money do we want to spend? Raises for employees. I touched on it briefly. You probably could go 5 years without budgeting for it. It's going to be a significant impact to morale. You'll probably see a lot of people take other jobs. You'll lose money on training, obviously, rehiring those people. For the police, each time you have somebody leave, it costs you, I think, $3,000 or $4,000 just to certify them. They don't have the training to do the testing, to do all the background checks. It takes a couple months. So there's a significant staff cost, both in personnel time and in actual costs, in order to replace people. and unions. We've been talking about gambling. If I was a betting man, I was going to say you're probably not going to win 5 years worth of arbitration hearings for a 0% raise. So eventually, I think push will come to shove there, and you'll have to do something. Vehicle replacement schedule we talked about. Okay, so the last part. There are still unknowns. Pro-build, early signs aren't good, obviously, but we've planned for the worst. Building permits are really good so far, 11 already in February. That's about a third of what we had all of last year. General fund major revenue trends. I won't itemize these. Some were down, some were up, some of which we expected, some of which we didn't. The admin committee's been really good at reviewing each one of those each month. Administrative inspection fees, I talked about accepting those revenues now and having an obligation to complete the work later. That's something that we need to be mindful of. And really, the 3 or 4 week period that I'm targeting, late March to mid-April, you're going to have all those pieces of information come in. You're going to have a much better picture of what's going on in the city just from your sales tax reports, which are going to be 2 huge pieces of information in April. Health insurance costs, we know that they're actually about 10%. That'll come to the admin committee in a couple weeks, so those are right online. And then your fiscal year 12 actuals. We're projecting a $900,000 surplus this year for our general fund. We're hoping that's going to be higher. How much higher, we don't know yet. So again, finally, big picture. General fund surpluses in fiscal year 13 and 14, so we're doing pretty well, we hope, for the next 2 years. After that, we are showing deficits, not something I would recommend, so we might have to take some action over the next couple months. We might not have to take any action if things don't materialize. Your general fund, you're going to miss your lower end of your fund balance policy by this much in fiscal year 14, and then it's going to go down each year thereafter. So again, that's a policy decision each year for the city council when you approve the budget. In your water and sewer fund, which are your 2 main cash funds, they're going to be fairly level through 5 years. So that's good. You'll be able to maintain sufficient cash flow for the next 5 years. But that is also assuming that you pass a sewer fund bonding fee in fiscal year 15 of $8.25 per month per user. You don't do that, we're talking about a different cash position. And then again, your cash position is improving, then stable, and then regressing in fiscal year 15. So again, next steps, next city council meeting, we'll do a public hearing. I promise it'll be a very brief presentation, in less than 5 minutes. And then it's open debate by the city council throughout March and April. So thank you for listening, and that's it.
Hey, Bart, are you going to give us a copy of your slide as well on that?
Yes.
Thank you.
You put them on the webpage too, right?
Yes.
Okay, do we have any additional business? Hearing none, I'll move on.
I'd like to wish Alderman Steers a happy birthday.
Oh,
Happy birthday.
happy birthday.
It's not today, but it was a few days ago. You missed it.
Thank you. 2 days ago? Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
I was going to have a meeting to get my birthday.
No executive session. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.